This country is blessed to have Americans like Brandon Stout, who make extraordinary sacrifices to keep us safe from harm.
Right as we were driving, the explosion happened. We were told that Brandon was gone.
Could there have been a mistake?
I think about him every day.
I hear him say it. You're the only guy I know that can bring my son home.
Phil, welcome.
I really never got to say goodbye.
And I have to get that closure that I see them one last time.
The portrait represents his presence coming home.
I'm gonna put the last little touch on you.
Everything we do is all about the families.
That's where the pressure comes from. You don't know if your legs are going to be strong enough to hold you up.
Turn your box.
Unsure of every detail. His name, his rank, his kill date. Here's your son, our American hero, Army Specialist Brandon Stout. As an artist, this is the best way I know how to honor America's heroes, to celebrate their lives, and to bring them back home to their families. I'm Phil Taylor. I paint portraits of America's fallen soldiers.
It's gonna be a good day. One of my favorite times getting to meet the families is like nothing else. You get to spend time, bond, talk to them.
Artist Phil Taylor is on his way to meet with the family of Army Specialist Brandon Stout to learn more about Brandon so that he can paint a portrait that captures the essence of the fallen soldier. Phil's journey takes him to the farmlands of Michigan, to a small town called Kent City, just outside of Grand Rapids.
What a beautiful spread you've got here. Yes.
Welcome.
Phil Taylor.
This is my wife, Tracy.
How are you, sweetheart?
Meet you.
Oscar, how are you? World War II? Sir, it's an honor.
Your home's absolutely breathtaking. I look at the farms and the communities that thrive there, and it's everything that these guys went into service for. It's middle America all the way.
My goodness, well, I recognize something already. I see the service medal, Purple Heart, Bronze Star.
The moment where I'm looking at his uniform or his decorations or his house, I'm looking at a grander plan. What role am I here to fulfill? What job do I have to complete above and beyond their highest expectations?
Where was this picture taken?
That was in training.
Fort Dix, where they prepared to go to Iraq.
Man, well, you can feel him here.
Army Specialist Brandon Stout was deployed with the military police to Iraq in October 2006, one of the bloodiest years in the Iraq War. Detonating explosive devices plagued Baghdad, and snipers were rampant. Brandon and his squad of combat military police were on the streets, manning checkpoints, enforcing curfews, and searching buildings for guns and contraband. They were also charged with training Iraqi police forces, which had been infiltrated by insurgents, so that they could secure their own country when the U.S. military departed.
Let's go in the dining room and look at some photo books and show you pictures of Brandon's life.
That sounds good.
Those are beautiful windows, that view.
To the lake where Brandon would fish, and he loved fishing, so.
Oh,
Yeah.
he's a fisherman.
We have 12 pictures of the same two fish. He caught them every other night, and we'd have to go down and take pictures of them.
That's great, man.
Brandon grew up in this house with the neighbor kids and sisters and brothers and friends and relatives, and it was one busy place. The busier it was, the happier he was.
I had muddy boots, and
Yep.
I'd always come in the kitchen. And
My mom
so
had to give him some cocoa or something afterwards.
It's just part of growing up with a lot of kids in the house.
But it was fun stuff, great stuff.
What led him into the military? What was the calling?
9/11 was the big deal. And he was not a fighter, he's not a warmonger, he's not a hater at all. He wanted to be prepared if his country needed him. When he went in, he wanted to be a chaplain. He felt the calling and he thought he'd witness best in that capacity. They said, well, we need military police. And he thought, well, you know what? Maybe I can witness just as well as the military police.
No
The
question.
guys of his unit told me afterwards, when things went bad and things went wrong and our world fell apart, we all looked to Brandon. And when Brandon was taken, no one ever filled that void. The last thing that I said to Brandon was, go and be a bright light in a very dark place in the world. He assured me, he said, I will, Dad, I will. And he was.
Is there a feature, a part of his expression, his very presence that you think of?
You can always tell he's smiling by his eyes. He would light up a room when he came in.
Do you have within some of the more mature images a couple, Mom, that you would like maybe for me to consider painting?
That's the smile.
You would like to see him happy and whole.
Yeah.
That's obvious.
That's a good one of his
that's
eyes,
a beautiful.
too. Yeah,
I can definitely use a part of that.
but I like him smiling.
Being here and just you guys spending time with you, sharing, seeing, is going to make all the difference when I get back to Texas and able to paint and restore your son. And I promise you, I won't let you down.
Yes.
I look forward to seeing it. We really don't have a lot of good pictures of him
Unfortunately.
in his uniform smiling.
I keep Brandon's dress uniform in amongst my shirts, and I see that every day. Really, the portrait, all this, isn't about a 23-year-old kid from Kent City, Michigan, dying in Iraq. It's honoring our war heroes and celebrating the life of an incredible witness for our Lord and Savior.
I got you covered.
After returning to Texas, Phil processes everything he has learned about Brandon and begins to incorporate it into his portrait.
Good morning there, my friend. Let's see if we can get that beautiful uniform in there. For me, the most profound single thing that stands out is his youthfulness. So, you were quite the fisherman, were you? I'm looking at your smile right now, thinking, yeah, you definitely got all the fish.
Phil continues work on Brandon's portrait, but there is a piece missing. The artist wants to know more about the military experiences that shaped Brandon.
It's not done in a single pass. It goes piece after piece after piece, and it can't be expedited.
Next, Phil's journey continues at a veterans home in Grand Rapids, close to where Brandon grew up.
And I scooted up in my chair and I looked out the window and the explosion happened.
Artist Phil Taylor is learning all he can about American hero Brandon Stout. He next speaks with Michelle Roudzitis, Brandon's team leader in Iraq, who has traveled to Grand Rapids to meet with Phil.
So tell me about some of the tattoos. I see some branding going on, specifically not only branding, but Brandon.
I got this 3 years ago. It's my prized possession, carry him with me everywhere I go.
I know, talking with Tracy and trying to get a feel for his charisma, she mentioned his laughter.
If you ask anybody, that's one thing they'll say they remember about Brandon is his smile or his laugh. It just comes from the gut, and it was just always like, ha 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 ha, and this big smile on his face. I mean, you could just be in the worst mood ever and, you know, hear Brandon and you're like, oh yeah.
It would lift you up.
Absolutely. And I wanted to go into combat with Brandon. That's who I felt comfortable and safe with. He was just an amazing soldier. I mean, the U.S. Army was lucky to have him.
Michelle recalls the night her Humvee was attacked as Brandon drove and their teammate Derek Gagne manned the guns.
We weren't supposed to work that day, but we got tasked to. We were getting ready to pass a site that's known for explosively formed projectiles. So I kind of held my breath and we drove past it. Right as we were driving past it, I can't remember if it was Brandon or Derek, but one of them said, I love you. And the other one said, I love you, man. And I scooted up in my chair and I looked out the window and the explosion happened. I unfortunately remember everything. It blew us off the road. The heat of the blast had fused my eyes shut, so I couldn't see. And everything else that was going on, you're just kind of, you're not there, but you're there. You don't know what to do. I woke up the next afternoon about 2:30, and there was a nurse standing to my left. And the first thing I asked her was, which one? I knew it was one of, I knew my legs were gone. And then my second question is, where's my guys? And then later that day, my squad and our captain showed up at the hospital that we were at. And that's when we were told that Brandon was gone.
January 22nd, 2007. It was about 8 p.m. and Mom and Elizabeth had went to the hairdressers. I saw a car drive in the driveway, and I thought it was Tracy coming home, and so I didn't get up or anything. And the next thing I knew, I heard a knock at the door. And I got up and walked over and turned the porch light on, and there were two men dressed in Army clothes. I remember looking in both of their eyes, and I knew. And I opened the door, and I let them in, and I just kept looking at them and saying, "Tell me it's not true." And they didn't say anything.
I knew something wasn't right, but I had to ask, is he injured, is he hurt? And they said no. And they said there's no mistake. It's Brandon. So I think it was the worst night of my life.
Because that was a pretty big hit. You lose your hero.
Coming up,
I hear him say it. You're the only guy I know that can bring my son home. That's where the pressure comes from.
Tracy and Jeff Anderson lost their son, Army Specialist Brandon Stout, in 2007 when he was killed by an improvised explosive device in Iraq.
My heart was broke. Dying would have been an upgrade. I wrote a letter to the White House. It said, "I heard that the president mourns the loss of every soldier, and our son Brandon Stout was killed in action January 22nd, and Brandon believed in this mission."
He felt he was making a difference in Iraq, and he felt what he was doing was for the good.
Several months went by, and I got a phone call from the White House. They were preparing one of President Bush's most important speeches on the surge. They wanted permission to use that email in the speech. He read the entire letter.
We believe this is a war of good and evil, and we must win, even if it costs the life of our own son.
And then the White House called my cell phone and asked me if I had time to speak with the president. And I could squeeze out a little time for that. So we visited with him. My wonderful brother David pointed out that perhaps the fact that Brandon died and then I wrote the letter helped the surge. Our death toll went way down after that. That saved other soldiers' lives.
At his studio in Texas, Phil Taylor puts the final touches on his portrait of fallen hero Brandon Stout before making the journey back to Grand Rapids to present it to his family.
Out of respect for you, commitment to what you did, you have a promise for me. I'm going to give you everything I have. I'm going to put the last little touch on you. Perfect.
See you tomorrow. Have a good night, my friend.
So we're leaving this morning for Grand Rapids. I have to get my program finished up, and then we have to make sure everything is packed up properly so that it doesn't get damaged.
Phil and Lisa Taylor drive more than 1,000 miles from Dallas to Grand Rapids, Michigan, where the portrait will be presented to Brandon's family and friends as part of an event honoring American veterans.
We were invited to participate in a citywide event called the Freedom Cruise. We were escorted by 3 Humvees, 2 of which carried the survivors of the blast that killed Brandon. We do the public presentations because the families have this anticipation. It's something to look forward to, something to be very excited about. And then when we do the unveiling, that's when they see Brandon, and that's the most exciting point.
The ceremony will be that closure that me and Michelle have been searching for to help us pass that hump of recuperation. And it'll always be there as a lump, but at least you'll have one thing that makes you feel better.
So I'm thinking Color Guard retires out. They come over to the stage. It needs to be pulled off with a sense of professionalism, accuracy, and most importantly, effectiveness.
I think the spotlight is better if you guys are right on dead center stage. Boom, national anthem.
Immediate time right before a portrait presentation is not even close to anything else that I do. You don't know if your legs are going to be strong enough to hold you up.
Coming up, will Brandon's portrait meet the expectations of his family and friends? In Grand Rapids, Michigan, hundreds of people gather to witness artist Phil Taylor's presentation of Army Specialist Brandon Stout's portrait to his waiting family.
Let's pay tribute to an American hero, a local hero. So on his behalf and on behalf of a grateful nation, would you guys please rise for the entrance of the portrait of Army Specialist Brandon Stout. When I first started this 8 years ago, I lost my friend, and we learned what it means to serve and to, unfortunately, sacrifice. And then the kicker is the pain that's left behind. That was a place we could make an impact, and that I hope we do tonight. So with that said, the parents of Brandon Stout, Tracy, Jeff, his brothers, the wounded warriors with him, Michelle, Derek. I hope that the time spent, the heart given, and whatever talent God's instilled into this hand has made some difference. So, with that said, those brown eyes, that huge smile, I know he was a character. He was full of life and could make anyone laugh and smile, and I know that. And so I hope that we have captured him. I hope he'll find that precious spot in your farmhouse. So on behalf of this group and an extremely grateful nation and the American Fallen Soldiers Project, here's your son, our American hero, Army Specialist Brandon Stout.
I pulled his portrait from the box, they felt like their son was there. Words don't even capture the way it is in that moment on the stage. You could feel the family saying, "That's my boy, that's my brother." and it was there. It was more than fulfilling, it was electric. Amen. Amen. Not bad lineage right here. Great family.
The following day, Phil and Lisa join the family as they hang Brandon's portrait.
I'd just like to thank everyone for being here today and to come and enjoy this day with us. Thanks, Phil and Lisa, for their incredible talent. This is like Christmas morning. We'd like to get our son out of that box and on the wall so that he can be in our presence on a daily basis. That portrait will keep Brandon alive in our hearts. We'll embrace it and look at it. And
For a long time.
It'll be huge.
That image is going to live on for hundreds of years, and it's going to represent him to people that have not even been born yet, and people that will want to recognize those who died from Iraq and Afghanistan. I think I accomplished that.
That's a smile I remember.
And it just makes his eyes pop.
Brush of Honor is dedicated to the brave men and women who serve in our nation's military and to the families of the fallen. Thank you for your service.
Sergeant Burgess, serving here at Cop Pinch, Afghanistan.
They were being just fired upon from the trees.
Let's go, let's go, let's go.
I remember thinking, all right, they got him. He's gonna be okay.
My daughter had walked out, and she wanted to know why I was crying.
Everything just shattered.
You are literally going on this journey with a guy who gave his life for his country.
Most families, their worst fear is that their loved one is forgotten.
I'm very nervous about your portrait.
Anytime I can look into his eyes and see him reminds me of the connection we had.
This is when the knees always get a little wobbly and the heart starts palpitations. Our hero, Staff Sergeant Brian Burgess.
As an artist, this is the best way I know how to honor America's heroes, to celebrate their lives, and to bring them back home to their families. I'm Phil Taylor. I paint portraits of America's fallen soldiers.
Just outside of Dallas, Texas, artist Phil Taylor and his wife Lisa are getting started on their next portrait of a fallen soldier.
Hello.
What's up there, Bubba?
I just want to go over your next portrait.
Okay.
So it is Brian Burgess. He was 29 when he was killed. So
29.
Yeah. He was married. This is Tiffany. And they have 2 kids. Here's the family right here.
Wow, that's great. What a
Okay.
huge smile.
To get Brian perfectly restored and happy and full of life, I've got to figure out who he is, where he's from. So I'm looking forward to my first stop, meeting his father, Terry, and his stepmom, Beth.
We're here in a small area outside my hometown of Fort Worth, Texas, which is pretty much some of the best folks you will ever meet.
Brian grew up right here. Hey, Phil.
Sir, how are you? Blessing to be here. I can already see some treasures with his name and rank on there.
Yes, sir.
Walking through their house, the pictures of him, the pieces of remembrance, and ultimately the legacy is fully on display there.
My cousin, she makes crosses and she wanted to do one for Brian, so.
Well, it's beautiful.
Well, thanks. I will tell her you said so. We're not necessarily
a military family. It never dawned on me that he would join the Army or any armed forces. 9/11 occurred. Brian's sense of wanting to protect his family really kicked in. He came to us. He was here at our house and he said, "Dad, I'm going to fight back."
And at that point, he had already enlisted and was getting ready to head out to boot camp.
We went to the graduation. I'm looking for Brian, looking, and I say, "Beth, where is he?" And she says, "He's right there in front of you." I did not even recognize my own son.
He'd become a soldier.
During Brian's first 2 deployments, he started rising through the ranks.
Sergeant Brian Burgess.
It just seemed to occur naturally to him.
I'm Sergeant Burgess. No. I'm not used to first names.
The men liked him, command liked him. He had found his place. He had found what he wanted to do, and he was being very, very good at it. This cabinet's where we keep some of our most treasured possessions from Brian. His Afghan medal, Purple Heart. The Bronze Star on the right is the Bronze Star of Valor. In November of 2010, Brian actually saved the life of a group. They were taking heavy fire. They couldn't get out. Brian and his men inserted themselves between the team and the enemy, laid down covering fire, and got the other team completely out of there with no casualties.
I see so much in here. Now, No Slack, tell me about No Slack.
That was his unit. He was with the 101st Airborne.
Yes.
A very prestigious unit. I was actually very proud that he was with them.
Would you guys have time for me to sit down and maybe talk with you at the kitchen table for a little bit? Is there something you want me to think of painting your son?
It was a certain charisma
He
he had
that.
about him. He had that leadership quality. You could see it in his eyes. You knew when you did something he was proud of, they would glow. Some of the guys say, "We knew when we were doing something wrong because Sergeant Burgess would look at us." Absolutely. But he didn't have to tell them what to do. They did it just under his gaze.
That's very profound.
I don't want to say that I'm very nervous about the portrait, but I am a little bit anxious.
When I'm done, he's going to be present, and it's going to be a physical place where you guys can connect. He's going to be all there for you, I promise.
Next, Phil searches for more information about Brian as he works to capture his spirit on canvas.
I knew after a week I was going to marry him.
That's so cool.
Near Dallas, Texas, artist Phil Taylor begins work on the portrait of fallen hero, Army Staff Sergeant Brian Burgess.
All right, Mr. B. Let's see if we can get you going here.
The painting process for me is kind of a combination between 2 forces. The practical side, ensuring that the drawing is done correctly. Then there's the spiritual side, the caring, loving husband, father, the active duty soldier, inspiring to recognize the balance between the 2 lives.
It's not easy taking off your glasses.
This is where I can bring you to life.
I promise I won't let you down, man.
Hey, babe.
What's going on there, honey?
Working on Brian.
I am. What are you working on?
I'm working on his event. With Brian Burgess's event, we were looking for a venue near where his family lives. A local church was the perfect option.
I think it's going to be good.
I gotta go. I got stuff to do. Love you.
Love you too.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Have fun.
Thank you.
While Lisa works on the logistics, Phil travels to meet Brian's wife, Tiffany, and their children in a neighborhood park.
Careful, Kaya.
Good to see you, babe.
Very nice to meet you.
I actually wanted to talk to you about when you guys met.
I knew after a week I was going to marry him.
That's so cool.
He knew the same. He was fresh out of basic at Fort Benning, and like a puzzle piece, we just fit together. I felt like true love.
Now the kids, how old are they now?
They're 6 and 7. Micaiah was born October 1st, 2006. He was so in love with her. He got to watch Xander be born as well. That was his boy. He got his boy, and we were done. Come here, Kai.
How are you doing, sweetie?
Can you say it's very nice to meet you, sir? Let's do high fives. High fives.
How about a high five? Okay, all right. Oh, man.
After meeting Tiffany, Phil wants to know more about Brian Burgess, the soldier, in order to complete his portrait.
Heading out to see Shane. Shane Shelton. No, he was there in the heat of battle with his buddy.
Hey, man, how are you?
How you doing? Nice to meet you.
sir.
Phil
Taylor.
Shane Shelton. It's an honor to meet you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you coming. Can you tell me how you guys met, you and Brian?
I was in No Slack 101st Airborne, and I was assigned to him. He was my team leader right off the bat. He was fearless, a fearless leader. I mean, you know, I'd follow him into hell and back.
In early 2011, just 1 month prior to Brian's scheduled return to the United States from Afghanistan, the 101st Airborne was engaged in Strong Eagle 3, a vital mission to capture Qari Zia Rahman, one of Osama bin Laden's top commanders, and dismantle his mountain stronghold.
Brian's helicopter, his Chinook, took off first. The Taliban had heard the birds coming, grabbed their weapons, climbed up to the tops of the trees, and waited for him there. And they were being just fired upon from the trees. Brian sustained multiple gunshot wounds into his torso and legs. At one point, I remember thinking, all right, they got him. He was alive on the bird. He's going to be okay.
Brian died shortly thereafter.
Is it something you have to deal with, or do you process through?
When the operation's over and done with, that's when it hits you. That's when it hits you like a ton of bricks.
I'd found out Brian was killed in action at 6:58 a.m. on March 29th by a knock at the door.
That morning, I had a dream about Brian. He's standing next to a glass coffin. He steps into the coffin, and he turns into little boy Brian. And it was at that point that I woke up, and she's on the phone with Tiffany. Tiffany is crying hysterically that Brian had been killed in action.
I didn't realize I had done it, but I had screamed, "No." And my daughter had walked out, and she wanted to know why I was crying. And she wanted to know why I screamed. And I didn't know what to say to her.
They do a ceremony when they carry that casket off that plane, and they salute him before they put him in the hearse and took him to the mortuary.
Everything just shattered So much of everything just flooded back, all the memories of this little boy, this young man, this teenager, the soldier, and now this.
With wounds this deep and expectations this high, Phil and Lisa must strive for perfection. Anything less is failure.
They don't just want to see a rendition, they want to see their son full of life, capturing his very essence.
Artist Phil Taylor is hard at work painting a portrait of one of America's fallen soldiers. His wife Lisa is busy finalizing the arrangements for the presentation.
The portrait presentation shows the families that we care, everybody who's in attendance cares, and it gives them this memory that they can hold on to.
Through the painting process, you're apprehensive. You are literally going on this journey with a guy who gave his life for his country and a family who has a tremendous expectation that they want to see their boy, and they don't just want to see a rendition. They want to see their son full of life, capturing his very essence, spirit, personality, and most importantly, his appearance.
And it's been a good day. Thank you, sir.
In the morning of the presentation is where excitement replaces all those other emotions. It's going to be powerful.
Your silent cue, if you remember, is when I clear the family away from John. So imagine the family's here, Piper's blowing.
All the effort for everyone involved in this feels good.
And once I'm clear from John, you'll bring us out. Slow, 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 slow.
We found out that for most families, their worst fear is that their loved one is forgotten. So that's why we do the presentations the way we do them.
I am very excited to see the portrait. I don't know what to expect. Anytime I can look into his eyes and see him reminds me of the connection we had.
Oh my God. We're very anxious, a little nervous about seeing Phil's portrait of Brian.
I think it's just going to be it's very emotional for us.
So glad you guys are here.
Obviously, it's really difficult to lose a good friend. Brian was, he was a great family man. He loved his soldiers. It's really important to honor him.
This is when the knees always get a little wobbly and the heart starts palpitations. It's about service to that one hero. It's a razor focus.
This morning, it is my privilege to recognize a special family. Brian paid the ultimate sacrifice in 2011 while serving in Afghanistan.
Next, Phil presents the portrait to the Burgess family.
And you could feel on the stage the family's expectation was at, Mount Everest level. It's as if you are carrying the weight of the world on your back. We are not going to let anyone down.
Phil and Lisa Taylor have prepared for 3 months for this moment, the presentation of the portrait of Brian Burgess to his family.
Would you give a big hand clap as we bring the Burgess family and all you guys to come up? We have his wife, his children, his mom, his dad, his stepmom. Come on up. So on behalf of all of us today, a grateful nation, here is our hero and your wonderful, precious one, Staff Sergeant Brian Burgess.
It was so realistic. It was just amazing. It was like I was looking at Brian standing there.
It's just like him. They captured his eyes just perfect.
Seeing the portrait was exactly like looking into Brian's face. The smile, it was exactly the way he would look at us.
It was what Phil said it was. He brought Brian home to us.
I've been blessed to do a lot of great things, but none of it compares to being the person that has painted and will present that portrait to that family.
The work that Phil put into the portrait brings healing to the family, brings healing to me. People don't forget about what's done over there, the sacrifices made, and the sacrifice Brian made for us, for our country.
Brian's portrait will find a place of honor over our fireplace where we'll see it every single day, see his face.
There we go.
It's like looking right into his face.
And when people come into our home, they'll see that portrait, and we'll be able to tell them who Brian was.
Oh, that's perfect.
Are we good?
Yep.
Is that on?
It's on.
Can you see?
I can feel it. Yeah.
He would not like to be crooked.
No, it would drive him crazy.
No, he would want it to be level.
Keeping Brian's memory and keeping him very present helps myself and my children heal. Helps our family heal.
Brian's home.
Well, yay.
He is definitely our hero.
Brush of Honor is dedicated to the brave men and women who serve in our nation's military and to the families of the fallen. Thank you for your service.
James was killed directly by the enemy doing his job.
Go! Come on, come on, come on!
He laid his gun down to try to save his brother.
Even as the months went on, there was a part of me that still didn't believe James was dead.
That's just a really, really dark place to be.
There is no way to describe the new state of normal that these family members face.
I want you to know it's from the very bottom of my heart. I'm going to use every bit of determination to bring a piece of him home.
I never, ever thought in a million years he would pick that picture.
So unlike any other portrait that I've ever done and probably will ever do again.
I'm a little skeptical about how he would capture his essence.
This little guy right here is like...
So on behalf of all of us, here's your son, our American hero, Petty Officer 3rd Class, James Layton. As an artist, this is the best way I know how to honor America's heroes, to celebrate their lives, and to bring them back home to their families. I'm Phil Taylor. I paint portraits of America's fallen soldiers.
The one thing I'm going to walk away with today is to make sure that I discover who he is. You know, where he hailed from, the family that raised him, what made such a unique individual.
Artist Phil Taylor is traveling through California's Central Valley, about an hour north of San Francisco, to learn more about Navy Corpsman James Layton. He's on his way to meet James's father, Brent, who requested the portrait.
And this is a big moment, but when I go in there and meet Brent and spend time and get to be able to see James's personal effects, it's going to be powerful.
Phil will use what he learns about James to paint a portrait that captures the essence of this fallen hero.
Phil, only great to meet you. How was your trip?
It was not too bad. I pulled up to that simple home and pretty much like most guys and girls who serve for our country. They come from, humble backgrounds.
I see some pretty cool stuff there. Yeah, that's a beauty. Oh, that's a pretty handsome case you got there.
Yeah, it's beautiful. There's so much more to James, obviously, but this really kind of highlights some of his achievements and basically what he stood for. And obviously, he's got some ribbons that you can see up here. Got the combat action ribbon. War on Terror, Afghan campaign, the NATO, and some of them are obviously above and beyond your Purple Heart. The Bronze Star with the
Right.
The V, of course, stands for valor.
particularly like this picture here. I love the smile in the eyes.
Wow. You can really see his character in that one.
Dakota Meyer took that.
Dakota Meyer took that picture?
Yeah. Dakota Meyer received the Medal of Honor for that day. James was killed. James was friends with Dakota Meyer. He loved James very much. This is James's dress whites. He was in the hospital corps, and you'll see his insignia there with the caduceus.
James, a Navy medic, fought for the opportunity to become a corpsman so he could fight alongside Marines on the front lines and care for their wounded.
The only time you'll see a Navy personnel wearing a Marine uniform, a corpsman, going to the green side, as the Navy calls it.
James endured 7 weeks of boot camp to learn to fight like a Marine. In 2009, he deployed to Afghanistan, where the Taliban attacked his unit daily.
In battle, Marines call out for God, Mom, and a corpsman.
A corpsman's a bad dude that's willing to be there in the worst hour. I have to make you a personal pledge, and I want you to know it's from the very bottom of my heart. I'm going to use every bit of determination to ensure that we bring him back to life, and as much as possible, with such as a portrait could do, try to bring a piece of him home to you and the family. Yeah.
Appreciate that.
Thank you, sir.
Phil Taylor next heads to meet James's mother, Nikki Freitas, at James's high school.
I think the high school was the perfect setting to meet Nikki. There was a connection there. How do you feel being here today?
It's different. I have pictures of us right there after his graduation in his cap and gown. I haven't come back to Ascalon since he died. I just started recovering from the loss of my son.
I find people their most natural, open, and real when they are exactly what Nikki was, which is vulnerable and hurt and injured.
His father and I divorced when he was 9.
9.
So John was 6, Jesse was 4, and Jordan was newborn. Here's James. He really helps Mommy out. He took on a very protective, okay, I'm gonna take care of the family type role at a very young age. James was helping me do everything. He did it so much, I had to make him slow down. I had to make him go outside. I had to make him go play. He just automatically assumed that role.
Yeah, it was like a motivation that was a natural part of his core.
He is my little best friend, my little bud.
Do you remember the last time that you had with him here at home?
Yeah, the last time he came home, he called ahead of time and he said he got his mission. So he's being sent home for 2 weeks before he goes to Afghanistan. I think James knew that there was a possibility that he wouldn't come back. He had to be in LA to fly back to Afghanistan. I had to drive him at 3 in the morning to the airport. When we got to the hotel, I spent a little bit of time with him. He gave me a hug, and I left. And I was walking down the hall, and you know what it's like when someone's looking at you, and you know it. And I turned around, and he was staring at me, and I could tell by the look on his face, he was concerned. So I ran back up the hall, and I gave him another hug, and I just whispered in his ear, please just tell me where you're gonna be. And he said, I can't, Mom, but I promise I'll call. And I love you, and don't worry, I'll be back. In the portrait, I really want to see his essence.
Hi, nice to meet you, sir.
His gentleness,
yes,
and his firmness, and
yes,
his love. Yes. Capture his spirit, his my baby the way my baby is.
Cool. He turned into
A man.
quite a
I know,
man.
He's a man.
Especially
I
those
still
last
call him my
2
baby.
years. No, he is your baby and always will be.
Right.
But he's so much more even than that, which is a
Right.
beautiful thing. He's a symbol of what makes this country great, and that is to step up for the good of someone else so that they can live a
Yes.
full life and a healthy life, even if it costs you your own. And to me, that's how you define a hero.
Coming up.
I'm not only inspired, I'm committed to ensure that she will be healed and helped through this process. I've formed a strategy to be able to capture all those characteristics that will bring their son back to life.
Near Dallas, Texas, artist Phil Taylor returns to his studio. He'll start the portrait of fallen soldier James Layton, while his wife Lisa plans the presentation to his parents.
Phil's goal is to bring life to a painting so that he can give what life he's been able to put on canvas back to the family. We basically consider ourselves as a service to the families.
Phil returned from visiting James's parents, knowing exactly which picture he'd paint.
James Layton folder,
Thank you very much.
with that picture you wanted.
And I know you have your reservations.
I do. Are you sure?
Well, tell me your reservations. What's the problem?
Well, it's totally different than anything you've ever done, so.
I know, exactly. And that's why I love it. The photograph of James, for me, was so attractive just simply by his character. The kicker was to find out that Dakota took that picture. He saw and caught James in such a perfect image. There's like a 3D effect. He's got his hands forward, he's in the turret. I love the whole piece. When I'm done, it's gonna be magical.
Okay, so get to work.
Thank you, baby. I really appreciate it.
I love you.
I love you too, babe. Thank you. All right, Mr. Layton, it's you and me now, baby. The beauty of the portraits is you get a young man like this, you get the private time with him, but yet you get to reveal him and enjoy that moment. And to me, that's the beauty of the whole project. Somebody's got to render aid. The corpsman's the person that's willing to comfort someone and to bring them to a place of healing in their worst hour. So he was all that and more.
Phil contacts Dakota Meyer, the Marine who took the photo Phil is painting, to learn more about James in combat. Dakota was one of 2 servicemen who received the Medal of Honor in the battle where James lost his life.
How you doing?
Good, you?
Good to see you.
You too.
So is there a personal perception or something that you remember about James that would help in my journey to remember him?
James was a laid-back kind of guy, the funny guy who really, you couldn't get him upset about much. Probably called me dude more than he ever called me by my rank. You know what I mean? Such a good guy. I mean, focused on his job and, you know, really a good doc.
There's that one picture in the turret of the Humvee.
I took that picture right before we were leaving for Afghanistan, and you know, it was about the time we all started connecting and stuff, and you know, it was just him up there messing around, you know, laughing and doing all whatever James did, you know.
Yeah, well, it's perfect. I don't want to take too much of your time, but do you mind kind of going to that day? Can you go back and kind of share with me what happened?
You know, the Ganjgal mission with the village elders had asked us to come in. They were going to renounce themselves from the Taliban. The Ganjgal Valley was kind of like a horseshoe bowl, all high ground surrounding it. When we walked into that valley, you were at the disadvantage in every single way possible. James' role was, he was the corpsman for the team that was in the front, that was going up to search a few houses in the back, and they would go and establish an overwatch position while the meeting was going on the back side of the village.
Taliban fighters ambushed the Marines before the meeting with village elders could take place.
He was killed directly by the enemy, doing his job, performing for his nation, as he definitely gave his life trying to help another.
The military had come to my house, and they refused to tell my children what it was about. They said they had to tell me first. And my children called me on my cell phone, and they were crying. I told them not to worry. He could just be hurt. He's probably just hurt.
That day, James's mom had called me and said, "You need to get to the house." And I knew what had happened. That scenario that you always hear of, there's a Navy officers out there and a chaplain. He was my firstborn. First thing you remember is all the funny things he did growing up.
Even though I kind of felt it in my heart, I didn't want to believe that he was really gone. But when your child dies, you just know. You lose a piece of something. And you know. And I knew. I just didn't want to believe it. James was a wonderful, wonderful spirit on this earth. He was great. And I had him. God gave him to me.
Coming up, Phil finishes his portrait of American hero James Layton.
So unlike any other portrait that I've ever done and probably will ever do again.
Phil Taylor puts the finishing touches on the portrait of James Layton, a Navy corpsman who died while caring for a Marine unit in Afghanistan.
This was truly a blessing. Navy Corpsman James Layton, I love you, my brother. I hope I've made your family happy. You certainly have made me happy. You're all signed, you're ready to go, my friend. Just take a look at you. Boy, if that didn't bring comfort and make them smile, I don't know what would.
Lisa packs James's portrait for the journey to Napa Valley, California, where it will be presented to the family at Chateau Montelena, a historic vineyard not far from where James grew up.
The founder of the winery served in the Navy, so there is a Navy connection. They really wanted us to come, and that's why we were presenting James' portrait there.
Being here, Chateau Montelena, sets us up to be in the most beautiful environment. Wow, man, that is awesome.
Oh, that's pretty.
This is home base
Very
right here.
nice.
That is fantastic. Got the American flag blowing right there.
So there's supposed to be a screen with a projector and a microphone and
Okay,
sound.
you need all that?
Yes.
We got that. That's not.
I just want to make sure that that's why I came early, so that I make sure in case there was a problem.
I'm gonna have the two sailors coming this way. They're gonna come in, boom, like this. They're gonna come sideways, I'm gonna build up, boom, I'm gonna center up. I'm gonna plant the easel.
The family of James Layton, they have arrived. We are waiting for a lot of the family's guests that they've invited to come.
This is beautiful. Wow.
Brent is very excited. He's the one who actually requested the portrait. He's already emailed me and asked me, what picture did you choose? And I gracefully told him that, it's a surprise. And for Nikki, I think it's going to be more emotional. Just this year, she's been able to get to a place where she can talk about it and process a little bit. Hi. I'm
Brandon, he's my son too.
Lisa. James' little brother.
How are you doing? I'm Phil Taylor.
I didn't know Phil. He didn't know my son. And I was a little skeptical about how he would capture his essence, his spirit. And after meeting with him and talking with him, I know that he does it from the soul. He does it for the right reasons.
Working with Nikki and feeling her when I went to visit her, you could sense that she was not as strong and was trying to recover. I value this as probably one of the most important moments that she's going to go through since she had to lay her boy to rest.
Thank you for giving us the privilege here at Chateau Montelena to honor your son today. It is our hope that in some very small way, we can help heal your pain, and thank you on behalf of our country for your son's service.
How about a hand clap for James Layton and his family? I mean, that's what it's all about right there. Would you please rise for the entrance of the portrait of Petty Officer 3rd Class James Layton?
coming up.
So on behalf of all of us, here's your son, our American hero, Petty Officer 3rd Class, James Layton.
At Chateau Montelena in Napa Valley, California, the parents of Navy Corpsman James Layton are about to receive Phil Taylor's portrait of their fallen son.
These American heroes are restored back to life, if you will, in a portrait, in an attempt to try to bring them home. So on behalf of all of us, here's your son, our American hero, Petty Officer 3rd Class, James Layton.
Seeing the portrait of James was like seeing James. I feel like he's right here with me. The response that I gave, I was not expecting that. I knew I would get emotional, but I didn't realize it would be that realistic.
I could feel her almost collapse. Her knees buckled up on the stage. I felt like I was holding her up. It was probably one of the most electric and emotional times I've had doing a presentation. I looked out and so many people were crying. And it was, that was a hard one.
I was crying and
Yeah.
you were crying, and we feel like it was successful, and
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I loved it.
our hearts are full.
It was just like I was looking at James, and although it was a sad moment, it was overpowered by happiness. So it's almost a holy moment, if you will. It's something that's sacred.
I think they didn't expect that image because they look at my work and they expect the same vertical face on, eyes forward. I told Lisa, this has to be the one.
I was wrong, you were right.
Yeah, and it was. It was the right shot.
Yeah.
I mean, it was totally right.
I'll get up in the morning and have coffee with him. I feel like he's right there. All the pictures I have, and nothing compares to that portrait. It's beautiful. My son is beautiful.
The following day, Nikki and Brent, together with James's brother and half-brother, hang Corpsman Layton's portrait.
That is realistic.
This one shows his true character.
Yeah.
I took that picture that day. We were just messing around, and he was probably telling me how bad he was in one of his smart aleck remarks, you know, just being funny.
He looks happy.
It's a picture showing that he was proud of what he was doing.
Yeah. So I'm not sad when I look at it. I'm happy.
Good.
Brush of Honor is dedicated to the brave men and women who serve in our nation's military and to the families of the fallen. Thank you for your service.
I'd heard on the news that day that there'd been a helicopter go down.
I asked if Sean had been killed, and he said yes.
It didn't seem real. It just couldn't happen.
When we serve a family, we are 100% committed to them.
The family has given me a contract. You paint Sean and bring him home. I think of all the men that he saved.
Well, I've been told that it's like thousands of people he saved.
Very important that we celebrate Sean's life and the sacrifices that he gave.
Here he is, our American hero and your son, Petty Officer 1st Class, Sean Carson. As an artist, this is the best way I know how to honor America's heroes, to celebrate their lives, and to bring them back home to their families. I'm Phil Taylor. I paint portraits of America's fallen soldiers.
Moving and shaking in California, yay.
Artist Phil Taylor is traveling through Northern California on his way to learn about EOD tech Sean Carson, the subject of his next portrait.
EOD is explosive ordnance disposal. These dudes find and remove any kind of device that could explode on the guys behind them. And they're some of the most heroic individuals that could possibly ever volunteer for service.
Phil is meeting Sean's dad and stepmom in Rio Vista, California.
It's all about putting the pieces together, man, and making sure that Pat and Barbie feel like that a guy's coming along to ensure he's not forgotten.
How you guys doing?
Great.
Just saw that name as I was
Isn't
walking.
that great?
Yeah, I would say you picked a good ship for us to be on. Thank you.
Welcome
Awesome.
aboard.
Awesome.
Can I show you around?
That would be fantastic. This is the Delta?
This is the California Delta.
California Delta. And so Sean really was on these waterways with you?
He was, yeah. We come up here, we go anchor out. Should we get underway? And
Yeah, man.
Go
I'm
tour
in your
around?
hands. Let's do
Okay.
it.
This is peaceful, isn't it?
It's very peaceful.
As a family, we've always been into boating and yachting. Sean and I have been planning to buy a boat together and do scuba diving and surfing trips off the coast of California.
Is that right?
During Sean's Afghanistan deployment, we had a regular once-a-week phone call. Although he couldn't talk about exactly what they were doing over there, these conversations consisted mainly of what we were going to do when he got back.
So I know it's always a sensitive subject, but what was the process he had to go through just to become EOD?
It's nonstop. Chemical weapons, nuclear weapons, and they pretty much cover everything that can go boom and cause problems. They got to know what it is, how to defuse it.
What volume of spirit does a man have to be out on point trying to find the bombs?
Yeah.
I find that you've got to be extremely proud of that.
I think he had a level of confidence. He knew what he was doing. He was very good at it.
Sean was involved in several top-secret missions in Iraq in 2009 and Afghanistan in 2011 through 2012.
It's not everybody that achieves that level. We're very proud of him. Phil, would you mind taking this?
Nervously, I will.
All right, come on over here.
Cool. Awesome.
Okay, so you got this?
I got
All
it.
right.
Got it covered.
The EOD is probably one of the most unsung, under-recognized positions within all branches of the military. You can't really fully comprehend how many lives Sean saved because we don't know.
Phil, I got brought Barbie up.
Hi, Phil. Are you driving?
I don't know if you could really claim it to be driving. It's more like surviving. I'm gonna leave it to you now.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate
Awesome.
that.
You want to have a seat? Are you okay to have a seat?
Yes.
What was he like as a boy growing up?
Sean had a lot of heart, and he's a very caring person. He had a really good sense of humor. He liked to play little pranks.
He turned the corner. So when did he change gears?
He had a lot of problems when he got to be a teenager. He got into the wrong crowd, and he got into some trouble, and he ended up in juvenile. He was only 15 at the time, and I got mad, and I yelled at him. Is this what you want to spend the rest of your life doing? Well, a couple years later, we went to Virginia Beach, and my oldest son, Jeremy, he was in the Navy. He must have seen what the Special Forces did, and that's what he decided he wanted to do. And that was his goal from then on out. There was no in between. He was going for the top. It's the first time I had ever seen him really apply himself to something he wanted. But he persevered, and I was so proud of him with all the training he went through and how much it took to get to that point.
That's just a great story. I want you to understand that it's not going to be some portrait or painting, but it's going to be him. And that's the goal. You'll be pleased, this I promise.
I can't wait to see it.
Meeting Sean's parents today was a true blessing. And what I really uncovered today was the split, the change, the transformation, if you will, that he went through as a boy.
Next, Phil meets Sean's mom, Fran, to learn more about her only child.
When I started looking back at these things, I was awestruck.
Back in Texas, Phil and Lisa Taylor are focused on the portrait and presentation of fallen sailor EOD tech Sean Carson.
So we're presenting his portrait at the Axelson's golf tournament in Cupertino.
It's going to be fun.
Yeah, Donna Axelson, who's actually the mother of Matthew Axelson, a Navy SEAL who fell, does this golf tournament every year to help other families of fallen military.
I'm fixing to put him down on canvas. All right?
Okay.
Thank you, though.
Alrighty.
Have a good morning, sweetie.
I will.
There were so many things that were talked about on the boat. Who he was as a young man, as a mature naval operator.
I think I have a good idea who you are. Family you left behind.
And so I have to paint in that context. I wanted to make his portrait a reference point for the family. Not overwhelming with a big smile, but something very gentle.
So I should have you covered from here. You're in my hands for a while.
While he was in California, Phil also met Sean's mom, Fran.
I expect this conversation to be something very deep. Gotta remember, this is her only son. This is her only child, so that's a big deal.
Then that's the last time, you know. And that.
Hey, what did you have there?
I brought a few things to show you. These are drawings that Sean did when he was in elementary school.
And he was drawing the U.S. Navy. That's kind of.
I know.
That's kind of ironic.
So
Okay.
I know. When I started looking back at these things, I was awestruck because I was like, wow, it's been in our face his whole life.
The whole time, and it was almost like a destiny
and we just
thing.
didn't, right.
What was it? The uniforms, the service, the code?
I think he was like, wow, look at what these guys are doing. I could do that.
Yeah.
So.
How did you feel about that?
I was apprehensive at first.
I'm sure.
I knew that it was a dangerous job. I was very proud, but very worried. So I'll have some pictures from Hawaii.
Sean met his future wife, Nicole, in 2001 while he was stationed in Hawaii.
Sean called and said that he was coming home for a visit. And he goes, I'm bringing my girlfriend home with me. I want you to meet her. We thought, oh, she's definitely the one. Sean and Nicole complimented each other really well.
The couple married in 2004 and had a daughter, Layla, in 2007.
He was very excited to be a father. And I know he missed her when he had to be away from her. Sean loved that little girl. No doubt in my mind that he loves that little girl.
It's a beautiful thing. What do you miss the most?
His eyes and his smile. I miss hugging my son. I would hug his waist and not let go until he complained. Like, Mom, okay, that's enough.
Being able to go through that journey with Barbie, with Pat, with Fran, they're basically empowering me to paint Sean and bring him home. And so they have my word. It's going to happen.
I sense where you are. I sense it. And I got you covered. I got it.
Okay.
Before Phil completes Sean's portrait, he wants to find out more about Sean Carson as a sailor. So Lisa has set up a call with Mike Wilhelm, a comrade and good friend of Sean's.
Hey man, how you doing?
Good, how are you?
I'm good. You got any nuggets or memories that you could share?
Yeah, like the biggest thing that I remember about him was just how much of a team player he was.
Mike and Sean served together on Sean's tour to Afghanistan in 2012. They were both attached to the U.S. Army's 3rd Special Forces Group of Green Berets in Ghazni Province.
Over the course of the rotation, he found 18 IEDs. One of them was a anti-tank mine that was going to take out myself and a few other people on the team, ultimately saving my life. So I have a huge debt of gratitude for him.
Wow, that's a powerful story. That's about as powerful as it gets.
Yeah, when both myself and Sean left that team of Green Berets, I was coming back home and he was going to support the SEAL team in Kandahar.
On August 16th, 2012, the Black Hawk helicopter that Sean was traveling in crashed northeast of Kandahar. He was killed along with 6 other U.S. service members.
It's pretty hard seeing as we were chatting over email and talking about his return. He was supposed to be back relatively soon.
I found out about Sean at noon on the 16th. Chief Grote called me on the phone and said that Sean had been involved in a helicopter incident in Afghanistan. I asked him point blank if Sean had been killed, and he said yes.
Of course, the first question is like, are you sure? No mistake. It didn't seem real. It just couldn't happen. It's not supposed to happen.
It was the worst day of my life. There's not a day go by that I don't think about it.
Next, Phil is under pressure to deliver a portrait that will meet the family's expectations.
How do we walk away from this knowing that we fulfill the commitments that we made to the family?
Over the next week, artist Phil Taylor will work around the clock on his portrait of Sean Carson.
All right, Mr. Sean. Hard to say, but I think you're probably going to take me about 60 plus hours based on the size, scale, perspective of your face.
No portrait is the same. With Sean, he was a unique individual. The manner in which you serve him through the portrait and its presentation have to be done with a sense of perfection.
All right, Sean. It's been a blessing to spend time with you, my friend, and I hope that I've done a good job for you, babe, and I will see you in California. You're signed up, ready to go, and you look beautiful. All right. I'll see you there.
Phil and Lisa carefully package the finished portrait and travel from Texas to California for the presentation.
This part of California, in Palo Alto and Cupertino, is so pretty.
This is nice through here.
This is very pretty up in here.
The presentation is being held at the Palo Alto Hills Golf Club during the annual Cupertino War Memorial fundraiser.
There's the golf course.
Oh my, that's
It's got to be a hard course.
It looks like it. Awesome. Beautiful place, man.
When we serve a family, we are 100% committed to them. It's not just painting a portrait and taking it and giving it to the family. They are part of our family.
Hello. Hey, Lisa, how are you? Thank you. I got butterflies in my stomach because I really don't know what to expect.
Don't really know quite what to expect. Very important that we take the time to celebrate Sean's life and the sacrifices that he gave.
I think as Sean's mom, I'm excited to see Sean's smile and his eyes.
I'm already getting emotional, so I know it's going to be extremely.
I always get nervous before events because I want everything to be perfect. Butterflies are always there.
You know, the kind of pressure that I bear at the public presentations that the portrait will represent and bring them to a place of personal contact.
The presentation this evening is to a very special American hero, EOD1 Sean Carson. Welcome to Sean's family and to the friends that have come here to support them.
Next, Phil presents Sean Carson's portrait to the family.
Before a presentation, you go back and you're thinking about Sean, the family, and you have to make sure no mistake can be made.
Phil and Lisa Taylor are ready to deliver the portrait of Sean Carson to his family.
I'm going to ask Pat, his father, Barbie, his stepmom, Fran, his mom. You guys come right up here.
On behalf of all of us here he is, our American hero and your son, Petty Officer First Class, Sean Carson.
In the portrait, his eyes are so incredibly lifelike. It looks like he can just step right out of the portrait and hug me. And I could just hear him say, "Mom, Mom."
Phil is amazing. It's perfect. For that portrait, he'll be there in my living room every day.
Seeing that portrait was like having Sean right in front of us.
It's so real.
I think the eyes are the essence of that portrait. And it's definitely Sean.
His portrait, I think, met every expectation of the family. I looked at the group and I thought, this is a coming home moment.
Sean's dad and stepmom returned to Rio Vista after the presentation.
You ready to hang this picture?
Oh, absolutely. So, yeah, we put it right about 20.
There's a nail. I'm not tall enough for that. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Even looks better here, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. He's got your ears for sure. That's perfect right there. It's just like he's here now.
He is.
And he's here to stay.
Yeah, he's just
At all.
smiling at us.
Yeah, he's just smiling down at us.
Booyah, John. We got you back.
Yeah, for sure.
Brush of Honor is dedicated to the brave men and women who serve in our nation's military and to the families of the fallen. Thank you for your service.
Captain Argel was leading his team down into Iraq. The headquarters believed the aircraft had crashed.
Time just kind of stood still. He wasn't coming home.
It has been almost 10 years since Derek died. For us, it is always 10 minutes.
I just lost him before I could even get to remember him.
It's always important for us to honor any fallen hero properly.
Derek influenced so many in his life. I'm just proud to be able to play a small role in saying thank you.
I definitely think it's going to be an emotional time to see this painting of my husband.
I think the painting has the capacity to restore a father to a son. So on behalf of all of us in a grateful nation, and here he is, Air Force Captain Derek Argel.
As an artist, this is the best way I know how to honor America's heroes, to celebrate their lives, and to bring them back home to their families. I'm Phil Taylor. I paint portraits of America's fallen soldiers.
Well, it's good to be back in Florida. Beautiful morning.
Portrait artist Phil Taylor is on Florida's Emerald Coast to meet the family of fallen airman Captain Derek Argel.
Going to meet Wendy, Derek's wife, mother of Logan, and figure out who Derek was from their perspective. Wendy said to meet her out back.
Wow, this is cool, man. Very nice. How are y'all doing?
Good, Phil. Great to see you.
Good to see you.
And good to see you, Phil Taylor. You know, today what I want to is just, first of all, spend a little time with you guys, learn about your father, husband, before I do his portrait, okay? Does that sound like a deal?
Yes, sir.
Cool.
Have fun, okay? Okay.
I'll see you in a little bit.
Okay, man.
These were Derek's, of course. Pretty special to us.
How many years of service did he have?
So he died in 2005, and he graduated from the Air Force Academy in 2001. So
Right.
he went right into train to become a combat controller.
Combat controllers are elite special operations airmen in the U.S. Air Force. They operate in remote and hostile territory to establish and control landing zones, direct airstrikes, and provide air support coordination for special forces.
Being the wife of a combat controller, you don't know where they're getting deployed to or what type of training they're doing, and he didn't talk a whole lot about it.
How did y'all navigate through that water? Because it's tough.
I think at first he had a mindset of, I just want to be in the military and go and not have to worry about a wife or a kid back at home. I grew up in a military family, so I was used to the lifestyle. You know, I probably was a little naive at the time, but I went in just being kind of honored to be his wife and a military spouse.
Wendy has the spirit of strength. Wives are told by their husbands, you be strong if something happens to me. And she has.
So Phil, one more thing I wanted to show you. This was his wedding band, and I just love it. The fact that it was on him the day that he took his last breath. It's just
It's a contact point for you.
absolutely. We were married just a year and a half, so not too long. Nice view. There's Derek. Where's the fish?
Out there.
The first time I saw him, he just stood out. He was so tall and so handsome. He was passionate about the Air Force. He loved this country. Even still now, I get little emails or messages saying, I was just thinking about Derek the other day. He had a huge impact on people that he came across. Derek left for deployment for the first time when I was about 6 months pregnant.
And action.
Christmas Day.
Christmas Day with little man showing him the Donkey Kong.
And they were able to send him home a couple weeks before Logan was born. Hey, little man. Hi. It was sweet memories for me, so.
Oh, it's beautiful. I'm sure you have basic expectations for the portrait. He has a very rich, handsome chin. His eyes speak for themselves.
I'm excited that you have been kind of studying his face, kind of like I used to do. So I'm excited to see it.
I look forward to it. The time I'll spend, it's going to be an honor and a blessing. So I'm really looking forward to it.
Me too.
I think I'm going to go do a little fishing with your boy down there.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Cool.
Okay. I'm coming down, sir.
My dad, he loved to fish. He started to fish around the same age where I did, and if I could spend an afternoon with my dad, I would try to catch some big fish.
I saw you caught something.
That was a catfish.
Oh, that was a catfish?
Mm-hmm.
What kind of bait you got?
Shrimp? Oh, I'm starting to get bites already.
See?
That pesky fish.
Oh, look at him.
There's
What's
a
that
mullet.
jumping right there?
That was a mullet.
A mullet. Ooh. That's
Like
a good
that.
cast, my man. That's a good 25 yards out there.
After spending time with Wendy and Logan, Phil heads across town to meet Derek's mother, Deb, at a local bookstore.
This book, it's Letters for Logan. And when Derek was first killed, we began to ask people to write letters for Logan so that Logan could know his dad through all of the stages of his life.
What a beautiful thing. That's so powerful.
Because the letters go from Derek's childhood up to his adulthood into the military.
And you filled this book. I mean, you're talking lots of folks participated.
He had a magical quality with people, and everyone loved him. Derek was very, very encouraging to others. He used to say, never look down on anyone unless you're reaching to help them up.
What a blessing, man. The commitment that Deb has to ensure that Logan knows everything about his father will help us better understand the loss, the process of healing for the family.
Derek came to me in the 4th grade and said, Mom, I know what honor is.
4th grade?
And he said, it's your word, it's your promise. And he said, I promise that I'm going to become the best special operator for my country.
Love that man.
So after he made that decision, he just began to push himself, training his mind and training his body, and he became very focused. Took him 2 prep schools to get there and a lot of hard work. The day he graduated was Memorial Day 2001. Derek threw that hat up in the air, ran up into the stands and said, we did it, Mom. He really never said I, you know. I this or I that. It was always we.
That's what makes these guys, these girls, so unique and inspires us all to say thank you because they earned it. And we're not going to forget him, and we're certainly not going to forget his family and the grief that's left behind.
Thank you.
You got it.
Thanks for honoring him.
It's my pleasure.
Next, Phil visits Pearlbird Field, where Derek Argel trained.
I don't know that we really ever really challenged him.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Back in Texas, Phil Taylor starts his portrait of Combat Controller Captain Derek Argel.
It was a great trip to meet your mom, your wife, cast a line with your son. He looks just like you. During the painting process, I kind of go back to the time I spent with the family and the journey I was on to learn more about Derek. Inspiration, that's what you gave so many. And motivation. Derek influenced so many in his life. I'm just proud to be able to play a small role in saying thank you.
Hello.
Hey, what's up to you?
I am bringing you your file. I just wanted to go over a little bit on the event.
Okay. The portrait will be delivered at a formal event in Florida at the Combat Controller Reunion.
So I talked to the Combat Control Association.
Right.
So we're just working on all the particulars and all that kind of stuff.
His painting's coming along well, so that's going good. You good to go, love?
Okay, let me know if you need anything.
All right.
Okay.
While Phil was in Florida meeting Derek's family, he made one final stop at Hurlburt Field, where Derek Argel trained. Chief Master Sergeant Jeff Gilmain agreed to show Phil around the Argel Aquatic Center, a state-of-the-art facility that was dedicated to Derek in 2007.
Chief Master Jeff Gilmain.
Phil Taylor.
Welcome to the Special Tactics Training Squadron.
It's good to be here.
Here's some of our heroes here on the wall.
Sweet.
Particularly, here is the picture of Captain Derek Argel.
I love it.
He was an imposing figure, standing at about 6 foot 6 inches tall, 200 and some odd pounds, very physically capable, very gifted. So we're making our way toward the Aquatic Center now, and we have this board of records. As we look at the board across the top, you can see Derek Argel here, Derek Argel here, Derek Argel here. He was one of the most gifted runners, and he was very good at setting the standard for everyone else to follow. So what he's really remembered for physically is what he could do in the water. His strength was from his background in water polo. The fact that he had spent a lot of time training in the water was very apparent. Welcome to the Argel Aquatic Center.
Can you give me maybe some of the things you guys, put them through?
Part of the water confidence training was just a basic treading exercise, keeping your ears and hands out of the water the entire time. With him, it was just too easy. So we would give him weights. It got to the point where he was holding 45 pounds out of the water at one time. In Derek's case, I don't know that from my recollection, we really ever really challenged him, even when the chips were down. And
That's awesome that you'd say that, even now.
It's absolutely true.
In early 2005, Derek Argel was deployed out of the 23rd Special Tactics Squadron to Kabul, Afghanistan. He led a special tactics team in support of the U.S. Marines in Operation Celtic, mitigating aerial resupply, air assaults, and medical evacuations. In May, he was reassigned to Bagram Airfield in preparation for his next operation.
The morning of the mission, Captain Argel was leading his team down into Iraq in order to perform a survey on an area as a site for tactical operations in the future. It was a pretty small aircraft. Headquarters were waiting for words back on the progress of the mission, which never came. They believed the aircraft had crashed. The emotions you feel when it happens to one of your friends, it really hits you hard. The cause of the crash, even today, is still unknown.
It was Memorial Day of 2005. I called to check in on Logan, and my mom said, some people from the military just came to the door. I think you need to come home. They said that Derek had been in an aircraft accident. Time just kind of stood still around, and I was just trying to understand what they were saying.
My phone rang, so I kind of thought it might be Derek calling. It was Wendy, and she told me Derek's plane had gone down. After that was just numbness and disbelief, complete disbelief. They must have made a mistake, you know.
I think it really hit me when the squadron came back, and, you know, he definitely was not on the plane. He wasn't coming home.
It has been almost 10 years since Derek died. For us, it is always 10 minutes.
Every time I think about my dad, I always think about that plane crash that happened. It just made me sad that I lost him before I could even, you know, get to remember him.
Coming up next.
I made a commitment. I told them that you're going to see him there, those hazel eyes, their son, husband, and father, in a very bold and powerful way.
At his studio in Texas, artist Phil Taylor has almost completed his portrait of fallen airman Derek Argel.
Looking good. Finishing touches here. Every story I heard from Jeff, your mom, and Wendy, spending time with your son, I'll never forget. I felt an overwhelming sense of pride and honor, something special during those 70 hours that I spent with him. So I hope it came through for the family. And it's time for you to go home. So together, let's go get this done. You're good to go. Thank you, sir. Have a good night.
Phil returns to Florida, this time with his wife Lisa, to present Derek Argel's portrait to his family at the annual Combat Control Association reunion.
The Combat Controller family, they're tight. They're a tight group. That red beret is a tab and a credential that does not come easy. So, yeah, I'm proud to serve them.
It's good to be back. And this, you got to be careful here, Dan. You got to, because I don't think, so just pitch him this way. Don't let the portrait touch. Flip him back.
It's always important for us to honor any fallen hero properly.
6 inches outside the box and about 6 inches behind the box.
And this is a perfect venue and a perfect place to honor Derek as a combat controller.
Okay, so let's go.
These are his teammates that are here, and it's here in Florida, next to Hurlburt Field where he trained. So what better place to honor him?
Not yet, not yet. Don't turn yet. Yeah, so then you do a right, loud and proud, boom.
I'm excited and I'm a little anxious. I don't know what to expect. I know it's going to be special.
It's going to be cool to be able to see how Phil has taken what he has seen and put it into this painting of my husband. I definitely think it's going to be an emotional time to see it revealed. It's a huge blessing that he's so invested in this.
Good to be here. Good to be with the families that we love so dearly. If you guys would please rise for the entrance of the portrait of Air Force Captain Derek Argel.
Next, Phil presents his portrait of Derek Argel to the family.
The minutes before a portrait presentation are heightened with a great sense of anticipation that every T is crossed, I's dotted. You're determined to say thank you and pay tribute to Derek.
Phil and Lisa Taylor are ready to unveil the portrait of Captain Derek Argel to his family.
Ask you guys to come forward, and then if you guys don't mind, give them a hand clap as the family comes forward right over here. He was a superhero in so many ways, and he will never be forgotten. So on behalf of all of us and a grateful nation, and here he is, Air Force Captain Derek Argel.
When I saw this portrait, I was overwhelmed and not usually speechless, but he really captured his eyes. Everything about him, you saw in his eyes. It was just like Derek was looking back on us. I was completely overwhelmed. We all were.
I don't really know what I expected. I know it was going to be good, but then when it's your husband that he's doing the portrait of and they reveal it, he got a lot of the details in Derek's face, his eyes, so it was pretty emotional.
I don't expect to see so much of my dad like that. It made me have another memory of him. It was a long time ago since I had the last memory, and now I can see him again.
After the unveiling, Logan came up to me and he said, "Looks like you brought my dad home."
So I have this for you.
Thank you.
When something like that is said, that's when we know that it was successful.
We got also smaller versions of him that we can give away, you know, like.
Oh, no way. All right, that's amazing.
And then I have yours.
All right, yay, thank you.
And you get a folder as well.
Get a folder as well.
Information anyway, so.
Thank you.
The likeness and the detail and the emotion that you could feel from the painting itself is absolutely amazing. I don't think there was really a dry eye in there. The reaction of the family of Logan and Wendy and Derek's mom, it was obvious that it was super important. It provided them a great comfort even 10 years later.
The presentations play a vital role in this endless, lifelong journey. So I think when they say those are his eyes, that's where I'm like, okay, everything's right under the stars. I can go back to Dallas and do it all over again.
Rush of Honor is dedicated to the brave men and women who serve in our nation's military and to the families of the fallen. Thank you for your service.
Christensen was the one who led the guys to go help. The helicopter was shot down.
And that's the only reason he's not with us, because he went after the four in the mountain.
And having seen what aircraft accidents do, I knew he was gone.
Their son's been brought to a place of national recognition through the book, Lone Survivor.
Whatever can be done to help them continue on after that loss is incredibly important.
He's been on my heart for a long time. Families, anticipation, you got many hours sunk into the portrait.
My hope, Phil's hope, is that they see their son.
So here he is, your son, our Navy SEAL hero, Lieutenant Commander Eric Christensen.
Attention!
As an artist, this is the best way I know how to honor America's heroes, to celebrate their lives, and to bring them back home to their families. I'm Phil Taylor. I paint portraits of America's fallen soldiers.
It's a beautiful day in Washington, D.C., the home of Navy SEAL Lieutenant Commander Eric Christensen.
Eric Christensen led the team that set out to rescue 4 SEALs who were under attack in remote Afghanistan. The mission would later be memorialized in the book and film Lone Survivor.
I'm definitely looking forward to learning about this guy. I made a commitment years ago to paint all the SEALs that were killed. That date, June 28, 2005.
Phil Taylor is on his way to meet Eric's mother, Sam, and his father, retired Navy Admiral Ed Christensen.
You know, at first I approached their home very apprehensive.
Sir, how are you?
You're nervous, you're anxious, so you approach with a great sincerity.
One question we have is, how did you select Eric?
He's been on my heart for a long time. Long time. I mean, since 05. And not to get too emotional, but you know, he's been there inside my core, wanting to paint and connect with you guys and say thank you for many years.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, it's Navy SEALs are really part of my DNA. They exist inside my heart. There was a moment where I realized the The immeasurable commitment and the unrelenting passion that these guys have that most can not even fathom.
We lived at the amphibious base when he was 5. So that's when he first saw SEALs and what they did. There were about 6 little boys on that base at the time that became SEALs.
I think that Eric wanted to be a SEAL because he saw the camaraderie and the togetherness and the team environment that the SEAL community represented.
Eric Christensen became a SEAL in 2001. In 2005, he led Operation Red Wings, a mission to find Ahmad Shah, an Afghani insurgent. On June 28, 4 SEALs were inserted into the mountains of Kunar province, but were discovered and attacked almost immediately. As soon as he got their distress call, Eric flew to their rescue with a team of SEALs and Army flyers. As commander, Eric was not required to get on the helicopter.
And that's the only reason he's not with us, because he went after the 4 on the mountain. And you know,
He didn't have to, right?
I don't think he would have sent anybody. I mean, he just went.
I think he's always had a sense of duty. He would not strive to be the leader. He would strive to be a contributing member of the group, whether it was a sports team or a SEAL platoon.
Would you have ever thought when he was growing up that he would become the guy that he now is? And of course, I mean, the movie, the book, and all these things enhanced his service and, of course, his sacrifice. He's frankly iconic in so many Americans' eyes.
He did what he wanted to do, and he never expected to be the object of
This much attention.
this much attention.
Yeah.
He didn't seek fame. He didn't seek notoriety. Far from it.
This is the last picture. And I like that one only because the smile is there, even with the beard. He had a great smile.
I love that picture of him.
It's a good picture, it really is.
I've painted just probably over 200 soldiers, sailor, airmen, Marines. But your son has been on my heart, on my mind for a long time. He'll be restored in a way that'll be very unique beyond some of the photographs. And I can promise you that. I won't let you down.
You haven't let anybody down. You do a great service.
Thank you.
For these kids and for the families that are left behind. You do a great service.
I got him and you guys covered.
Phil Taylor next meets with Jeff Eggers, one of Eric's best friends.
First of all, thank you for taking time from your busy schedule. Thank you for your service.
And thanks for what
us.
you're doing.
Thank you, sir.
I think the idea of Portraits of Patriotism is a unique one. It's a creative one. The soldiers who sacrifice in this decade plus of war are 1% of the American population. And for those that carry the burden of the ultimate sacrifice, these parents, these families, whatever can be done to help them continue on after that loss, I think is incredibly important.
When you go back in time, how can you encapsulate him as a person?
Even though it's almost been 10 years, in some ways it feels like he's still with us. He was that forceful of a personality. He was very strongly drawn to special warfare, special operations.
Right. He had really found his purpose in place.
I think he was going to have many purposes and places in life. He was a student of Shakespeare. He was creative. He had his own artistic side, a musical side, a literary side, a scholarly side, and a warrior side. And in Eric's case, that feeling of having lost somebody that was one of a kind is truly profound and powerful. I think you would hear that from anyone who knew him well. We really did lose somebody who was irreplaceable.
Amen. When you think about him, what do you miss the most?
There was a certain way he had of making people feel like he was devoted to them, giving them his attention, and then making them laugh and making them smile. This is the first time I've spoken at all publicly. I've never ventured outside my own private way of dealing with it. And I think it's important for the families that we talk about his memory and cherish what he gave us, both as a person and as a soldier, and for their service.
Coming up, Phil Taylor learns more about Eric's service as a SEAL.
The reason that Eric went and jumped on the helicopter is because it was his friends that needed backup.
Artist Phil Taylor takes all that he's learned about Navy SEAL Eric Christensen into his studio near Dallas and will channel it into his portrait.
Early morning. Looks like a good day to paint Mr. Christensen.
Eric's portrait will be presented to his family at Skyball, a 3-day military fundraiser. The family will be honored at 2 events.
The luncheon is really designated to make sure that Eric's going to be presented with the highest level of respect and honor. In the evening is going to be people coming from places all across the United States to say we want to recognize those who serve, those who sacrificed, and ensure none of them are forgotten.
Great shot. Just a wonderful image. Shows those crystal blue eyes. A perfect look. Sweet spirit. It also gives me everything I need to show who you are as a leader.
It's me.
What's up? I could hear you coming.
You could?
Well, the years have forged my mind into knowing your every step.
The clickety-clack of my shoes.
Yep.
So in talking with Skyball, the organizers want to introduce the family to the whole audience at the evening event. So you'll be on stage there.
That's fantastic. It's like 3,000 people.
It's just a massive event that they hold at the Dallas-Fort Worth Airport in American Airlines hangar. I have a call coming, so I have to go. So
Awesome.
see you later.
Okay.
Let me know if you need anything.
I'll see you at lunchtime.
Okay.
Mr. Eric, back to business. Private time, you and me. You got to find out at such a young age what Navy SEALs were all about. 5 years old, kind of saw your destiny.
I can almost guarantee you that the heritage and the history that he has through his dad was the inspiration, and that brought Eric to a place of moving towards Navy and then finding his own identity in becoming a Navy SEAL.
When Phil was in Washington, D.C., he also met with Ryan Rico to learn more about Eric's career as a Navy SEAL.
What comes to mind when you think of him?
He was very approachable, and he would lead people, and people would follow him because of how friendly and personal he was, not because he had rank and an authoritarian presence.
I think most people are interested in trying to uncover and figure out what makes you guys so closely knitted together. The willingness to sacrifice and do things that most human beings would never do in the most unbelievable circumstances.
A lot of guys have agreed that SEALs aren't made, they're born, but you just have to find out who was born to do that by going through the fire.
So I want to talk about, unfortunately, what happened on June 28, 2005.
Operation Red Wings was a mission that sent 4 operators to go in to do a reconnaissance. The 4 SEALs that were selected to go out were Lieutenant Michael Murphy, Marcus Luttrell, Matt Axelson, and Danny Dietz. They found the village, they had eyes on the targets. The mission didn't continue the way that it was supposed to. They were compromised.
A fierce gunfight erupted between the 4 SEALs and a large group of local militia.
The communications weren't working the right way. Eventually, they had to make a call with the cell phone. They said they needed some help. When Eric got the call, he ran and jumped on the helicopter, which is uncommon for someone who's a lieutenant commander. But it was his friends that needed backup. He went to engage in the fight. Unfortunately, the helicopter was shot down.
All 16 men on board the helicopter and 3 of the 4 Navy SEALs on the ground were killed.
That was the largest loss at the time of special warfare personnel in history.
We had been in Virginia Beach at a retirement ceremony for an officer that had worked for me. And we had heard about this helicopter going down in Afghanistan. And we got home that night and got a telephone call.
It was Admiral McGuire from Coronado, and it was basically what they call an admiral to admiral call, and the reason being that the SEALs were on their way from Norfolk, from Virginia Beach, to inform us, but DCA was socked in and they couldn't land.
He was, in fact, in the heel. And having seen what aircraft accidents do, I knew he was gone.
If anyone had ever tried to tell me what it's like to lose a child, if I tried to tell you what it's like to lose a child, you'd think I was crazy. You would never believe it. You can't describe it. It doesn't go away. It's there every day. And nothing takes its place.
Coming up.
I think it's going to be personally gratifying and empowering in a way that they don't even know yet.
Artist Phil Taylor is putting the final touches on his portrait of Navy SEAL Lieutenant Commander Eric Christensen.
All right, Mr. Eric. This has been many years coming for me. So I have to tell you, this has been and will be, at your presentation, a blessing that I've been wanting to do since I painted your comrades Murphy, Deeds, and Axelson.
The portrait will be presented to Eric's parents at Skyball, a fundraiser for the military and their families.
Mr. Eric, you are looking pretty good. I think Ryan would be pleased. All right, my friend. Off to framer, off to photographer. You rest well.
In Dallas, Phil and Lisa Taylor prepare for the first presentation of Eric's portrait at a luncheon in honor of Eric's parents.
So we're still getting everything arranged, the audio, visual, the staging.
I'm looking forward to the Admiral Ed with his wife Sam flying in for Skyball and the luncheon.
By the time that they're supposed to arrive, I'll be out there waiting and all settled. My hope, Phil's hope, is that they see their son.
Excited to see what Phil has done, how he captured Eric.
It'll be very interesting, especially since we've been told it's very large. I can't quite picture it, but we'll find out soon. I think it's marvelous that somebody wishes to do this on their own time, and the fact that they do spend a lot of their time and their life in doing not only my son, but other people's sons.
Sir, how are you? Good to see you. Welcome, welcome. Good to see you. Medal of Honor recipient, sir, how are you? Good to see you, my friend. What's going on, partner? Families, anticipation. You got many hours sunk into the portrait. There's a lot of love shared, man. A lot of love.
Ladies and gentlemen, from the American Fallen Soldiers Project, artist Phil Taylor.
I don't know if you guys know, but Eric Christensen, of course, the commander from the movie Lone Survivor, this man, this towering figure, was wonderful, approachable, kind, graceful, merciful, but also was firm. When it came time for the rubber to meet the road, he was there. And that's why he was given leadership, graduated from the Naval Academy in 1995. His father, Ed, was a naval commander and led many thousands of men and ships over his long career, 32 years. It was a blessing for you guys to open your hearts and your home to me. So with that said, please stand for the entrance of the portrait of their son, our American hero Navy SEAL, Lieutenant Commander Eric Christensen.
Right, please. 2 paces forward. March. About, please.
Give them a hand clap for Ed and Sam Christensen as you come up, and let's do a reveal of your son.
Coming up, Navy SEAL Eric Christensen comes home.
So here he is, your son, our Navy SEAL hero, Lieutenant Commander Eric Christensen.
artist Phil Taylor is about to present his portrait of fallen Navy SEAL Eric Christensen to Eric's parents at a luncheon in Dallas.
It's certain pieces and photographs that I look through. His eyes, just so handsome. And there was one shot that I just couldn't steer away from. So I incorporated some of the other expressions, but most of all, it was based upon one picture that I found to be just right for him. So here he is, your son, our Navy SEAL hero, Lieutenant Commander Eric Christensen.
You come around. Come on around.
There he is.
There he is.
I hope that this will symbolize our great appreciation for his selfless sacrifice and for the history that you guys have in naval service. Thank you very much.
The portrait was extremely overwhelming.
It's Eric, from the eyes to the little hook on the left side of his mouth. He had the thickest head of hair.
Oh, he did. He had horribly
and,
thick hair.
Unlike his father.
You're trying to capture it. Yeah, no, I'm serious, yeah. Yeah.
Would you like to say a few words, either one of you?
This is quite an honor, and it's quite a picture. And Eric was hard to capture. He just admitted that. I only want to say that Eric died on a day with 18 other people. And every single one of those souls deserve every honor they can have.
That evening, Phil and Lisa Taylor present Eric's portrait at Skyball, where 3,000 people recognize Eric's heroism and sacrifice and honor veterans and military families at a gala event hosted by American Airlines and the Air Power Foundation.
Ladies and gentlemen, from the American Fallen Soldier Project, Phil Taylor.
Hello. It's good to be here. We have the parents of Lieutenant Commander Eric Christensen and his father, who was also a naval commander for 32 years of many ships, and he is back here with Ed and Sam.
Skyball 12, it was a magical moment. Eric's mom talked about that, and she said, I have Eric, and she's referring to the portrait. Eric's been recognized in film and in book. The portrait will be a more personal aspect of remembrance and recognition.
I think it'll brighten the room and allow those visiting us to get a good look at who Eric was.
Brush of Honor is dedicated to the brave men and women who serve in our nation's military and to the families of the fallen. Thank you for your service.
Mark followed me into that final house, willing to provide security that put him in harm's way. A barrage of gunfire comes out. Mark got hit.
Mark turned into that line of fire to save his buddies.
He could have refrained from stepping forward, but he didn't. He fulfilled that commitment.
When Debbie's son Mark was killed in Iraq, she dedicated her life to help other families.
My goal is to take the sincerity, the commitment, determination, and the dignity that he had earned being a Navy SEAL to the portrait.
We didn't really know what to expect. We'd heard about Phil's work a little bit before.
You're coming around now, looking good.
So on behalf of all of us here he is, our hero, Navy SEAL Mark Lee.
As an artist, this is the best way I know how to honor America's heroes, to celebrate their lives, and to bring them back home to their families. I'm Phil Taylor. I paint portraits of America's fallen soldiers.
Hey, Phil, Debbie's here.
Hey, honey. I'll be right there.
Phil and Lisa Taylor are welcoming Debbie Lee, the mother of fallen Navy SEAL Mark Lee, to the American Fallen Soldiers Project headquarters.
Hi, how are you doing?
We're doing great.
Good to see you guys.
Mark Lee was the first Navy SEAL to lose his life in Operation Iraqi Freedom on August 2nd, 2006. He is the subject of Phil's next portrait.
When Debbie's son Mark was killed in Iraq, she dedicated her life to help other families who are going through what she's going through.
Debbie Lee runs a very successful nonprofit in Arizona, America's Mighty Warriors.
America's Mighty Warriors provides programs, support, and a peaceful retreat in Arizona for families of the fallen.
Today's really special because both of us serve the families of the fallen. We have the incredible opportunity to spend time, let her see our gallery, and learn about Mark.
I want to take you in our little section of this building.
Would love to see where you guys do all your magic.
I think there's a special connection between Lisa and Phil and I. There's a natural bond because they're doing the same thing, making sure that we honor and remember our fallen heroes and their families.
This is our area, this is our headquarters.
Their eyes all stand out
Oh, yeah.
when I look at
Well,
them.
that's the key. I mean, just like Mark's portrait, of course it'll be in black and white, and color is reserved solely for the eyes. And being the spiritual believer that you are, that is the window of the soul. To have you here is a blessing, and I look forward to painting your handsome son.
But you know what made him so cute? It was his personality, larger than life, his sense of humor, his compassion, and that's just who Mark was. He laid down his life for the freedoms that we enjoy here in America.
Navy SEAL Mark Lee deployed as part of SEAL Team 3 to Ramadi in 2006. The SEALs called it the hellhole of Iraq. Ramadi was under siege as U.S. forces battled insurgents for control. Mark and his team tracked down terror cells threatening civilians and provided sniper cover for ground forces fighting to wrestle the city from al-Qaeda.
We're not all called to do something as extraordinary as serve like that.
They come wired that way. Raising my kids, I wanted to make sure that they did grow up in a home where we understood our freedoms. And so I'm sure that was part of the driving force for Mark to be able to help others and encourage them.
That was his calling.
It was. He was an amazing young man, and he wrote a letter 2 weeks before he was killed that we've labeled his glory letter. I've seen war. I've seen death. I can only pray and hope that none of you will ever have to experience some of these things I've seen and felt here. However, what I do over here is only a small % of what keeps our country great. I think the truth to our greatness is each other. When was the last time you paid for a random stranger's cup of coffee, a meal, or maybe even a tank of gas? More random acts of kindness like this would change our country. So to all my family and friends, do me a favor. Pass on the kindness, the love. This is our real part to keep America free. Love ya, Mark Lee.
He was basically asking all of us to give back and do it on an active basis so it leaves a footprint and empowers and inspires other people to do the same. It's a beautiful piece of work that he sent home.
God has used Mark's story, his last letter home, to continue to change lives around the world. I was blessed for 28 years to have this amazing kid in my life.
It was a beautiful time to have Debbie Lee in our building. The impression I got was how much faith she has, and also the recognition and appreciation that she has for her son, that she misses dearly.
After meeting Debbie, Phil travels to Surprise, Arizona to meet Mark's brother, Christopher, a Marine veteran, to learn more about the fallen SEAL.
Well, cloudy day here in Surprise. What a great name for a town. Meeting his loving brother, Christopher, today. This is a journey to figure out what he misses and what he hopes and expects from me. It's good to see you, man.
You too, sir.
My goal is to learn more about your brother. Looking at you, I see him.
It does something empowering and inspiring for me as the guy behind the brush to see your face and to spend time with you. Are there any things that you would desire in his portrait?
That intensity on one hand, that sense of humor on the other, it is a challenge to be able to intermingle and merge those two together.
I can get that. And I will get that.
Mark had an incredible sense of humor, but at the same time, incredibly dedicated to something when he wanted to be. On Mark's headstone, it says, "Love deeply, deeply loved." That really does sum up who Mark was. I think back to his relationship with Maya. He loved her completely.
Mark married Maya, the love of his life, before he deployed to Iraq.
The love that Mark had for Maya was something that I think helped drive him to be successful as a SEAL and as a man. Something very close to my heart is that opportunity that we had to talk before he died. Both of us had really noticed in the other a change in the maturity, a change in what you were going through and what you were capable of.
I want to say thank you very much. Also, I want to make the same commitment, which comes from my heart, to restore your brother whole and happy. And you have my solemn promise that that will be fulfilled, okay?
Thank you.
It's a covenant I make. Oh, yes, sir. Roger that.
Next, Phil's journey takes him to Destin, Florida, where he meets Mark's teammate, Navy SEAL Kevin Lace.
That was when Mark stood up and just laid down that withering, covering fire.
Phil Taylor is back in his studio in Texas, where he will transfer all he's learned about Petty Officer Second Class Mark Lee into the portrait of the fallen Navy SEAL. Phil and his wife Lisa will present the portrait to Mark's family at a special luncheon in Dallas.
There'll be some late nights, you and me, for sure. I think we're going to be able to bring you back to life in a way that's going to make a huge impact. So I learned about the love and the sadness your brother has. He has such a sweet, sweet heart. I look forward to serving him and your mom. Yeah, I promise you, my man, I'm not gonna let them down. I got them covered. As much as you had your guys covered over there in our nation, I have your family covered.
Before Phil can complete the portrait, he wants to know more about Mark's life in the Navy. So he travels to Destin, Florida, to meet with Mark's friend and fellow SEAL, Kevin Lace. Kevin fought side by side with Mark on his last mission.
My goal is, like always, to try to figure out a little bit more about who Mark is.
Kevin was there when Mark was facing peril in Ramadi.
How are you, sir? Great, how are you doing? Good to see you, Phil Taylor. Hey, Kevin Lace, great to finally meet you.
Tell me about Mark. Who is Mark Lee?
Mark was a larger-than-life guy. He was physically impressive. He could lift heavy weights, move big objects, put them down, but at the same time, he had that jovial personality that could put anybody at ease. He could theorize with anybody about God and spirituality. Whatever he did, you knew it was gonna get done. Not just right, but it was gonna get done to perfection.
Can you talk about what it was like on the ground with him?
We had been in Ramadi, one of the most dangerous parts of Iraq. In Ramadi, the Marines and the Army were losing guys daily to IED attacks, small arms fired.
SEAL Team 3 provided sniper overwatch, cleaning up the streets by targeting enemy fighters.
We had had a lot of success, and at that time we had not suffered any casualties. August 2nd was one of those days that we had done before. We had snipers up on a rooftop providing cover for the rest of us that were moving house to house looking for bad guys.
One of the Navy SEALs on the rooftop was Ryan Job. An enemy sniper fired on Ryan's position, and Ryan was gravely injured.
We initiated our casualty evac, and we did what SEALs do best. We returned fire. Mark was one of the first guys to stand up and provide cover fire and suppress that enemy. And we were able to safely remove Ryan off that rooftop without taking any more casualties due to Mark's quick action.
Mark and the rest of SEAL Team 3 returned to base to regroup.
It was a gut check time. We'd never been in that situation before. We didn't know if Ryan was going to live
Then, Mark's team got word that the enemy snipers were moving from house to house, and they went out to find them.
We did what team guys do. We reload our mags, we reload our grenades, we strap on our gear, and we get back after it. We headed out to these different target houses. Mark followed me into that final house. Then Mark cleared left, and a couple guys cleared right, and we started moving down the hallway. At the end of the hallway was a glass door, and Mark was willing to stand there in front of that door and provide security.
Mark stood exposed by the glass door to safeguard his teammates while they cleared the rest of the house.
That put him in harm's way. A window is always dangerous, an open door is always dangerous. A barrage of machine gun fire comes out right through that window where Mark had stopped. Mark got hit.
Mark died instantly from his wounds.
And there was nothing I could do or anyone else could do to bring Mark back. It was tough. It was tough.
Yes, sir.
We had lost the first SEAL in Iraq, and not just the first SEAL in Iraq, it was a platoon mate. And it wasn't just a platoon mate, it was Mark Lee. It was crushing.
I received a phone call from my mom's neighbor. She gave me a call and said, "Your mom's not home. There's a vehicle parked out in front of the house, and the guys inside are wearing uniforms."
I was actually at my Bible study, and Christopher called. Nothing in his voice to alert me, no fear that I could hear. First he said, "How long will it take you to get home?" I thought, well, that's kind of an odd question. And I turned the corner on my street, expecting to see a black car parked out front, and there were no black cars, only my son pacing on the sidewalk, back and forth. He said, "Mom, the Navy's here." And I remember just laying my head on his shoulder and just crying, saying, "No, no." They said, "We can tell by being in your home that you're a woman of faith, and you're going to need to rely on your faith for what we're about to tell you. Your son, Mark Allen Lee, has been killed in action."
I don't even know if I could put it in words. That pit in your stomach, that feeling that everything's about to change. Going to the funeral is the most difficult thing I've ever had to go through in my life. I don't think anyone's prepared to carry a sibling to the grave.
Coming up, Phil strives to capture Mark's complex character in his portrait.
He cared for others way beyond himself. Mark exemplified that in the last act of his life.
At his studio in Texas, artist Phil Taylor continues his portrait of fallen Navy SEAL Mark Lee.
All right, mister. Dark hair, dark eyes, perfect lips. You found your purpose, your destiny. You ultimately fulfilled everything that God wanted from you. This is my favorite part, Mr. Mark. Right here.
Phil spends nearly 80 hours completing Mark's portrait.
This, without a doubt, Mark, is some of my favorite hours right here. Your footprint goes on through your brother, your mom, through Kevin. But the one thing he gave me was just how tough you were and how focused you were on your job, my friend. Okay, Mark, it's truly been my pleasure. Thank you for the time. Have a good night, and I'll see you tomorrow.
On presentation day, Lisa Taylor prepares for the ceremony where Mark's mother and brother will receive the portrait.
Okay, so if you give me my jump drive, I'll download it for you.
Today's going to be a great day, honoring Mark. He cared for others way beyond himself, which is what I was thinking of when I was painting him. There's a scripture that says that we should consider other people more valuable than we do ourselves. Mark exemplified that. He did that in the last act of his life. In Ramadi in 2006, he ran out there in a hail of gunfire to protect, fight for, and ultimately save many lives. And my goal was those characteristics of that faith, hope, and love is all captured and will be revealed today at its portrait presentation. So I'm super excited.
Board 1. About face. Parade, rest.
Hand clap for Mark's portrait. And you can be seated. First Navy SEAL to be killed in Ramadi in Iraq, but earned the Silver Star posthumously for the very actions to protect, provide, cover, and to save many lives that very day. So with that said, Chris and Debbie, would you guys come up on stage?
Coming up.
You don't forget them. You always remember them. You pass that story down.
Phil Taylor is about to present the portrait of Mark Lee, the first Navy SEAL killed in Operation Iraqi Freedom, to his mother and brother.
So on behalf of all of us here, here he is, our hero, Navy SEAL Mark Lee.
I don't know that words could properly describe what just happened in there. I knew that it would be emotional when I looked at the picture. I love the portrait.
Phil really captured who Mark was. Felt like he was right there. We didn't really know what to expect. We heard about Phil's work and how he really took a lot of time to just really understand the person. It's hard to know for sure until you see it, but very, very happy with the picture. For those of you guys that know me, I've got 4 boys. None of them know who their Uncle Mark is physically. They were all born after Mark was killed. But if you talk to them, you would never know that. Part of it's because we still talk about Mark. We will always talk about Mark. You don't forget him. You always remember him. You pass that story down of who they are, who they were, who they loved, why they laughed. And the words help to carry that memory on. But the pictures do too.
Debbie and Christopher will take the portrait home to Arizona, where Debbie's foundation, America's Mighty Warriors, runs the Heroes Hope Home, a peaceful retreat for families of the fallen.
The portrait will be hung in the Heroes Hope Home, and it will be in our Heroes Room, appropriately so.
It's incredibly gratifying for me to know that families who've gone through this tragedy of losing someone so precious in their life, to see Mark there smiling back. I'm smiling now just thinking about other people looking upon his handsome face I find that to be remarkable.
Brush of Honor is dedicated to the brave men and women who serve in our nation's military and to the families of the fallen. Thank you for your service.
We gather today to present the Medal of Honor to Specialist Leslie H. Sabo, Jr.
Bravo Company was sent to Cambodia to destroy supply lines of the enemy. They started firing on us, and then all hell broke loose.
Leslie kept picking up grenades and throwing them back.
Leslie was killed on Mother's Day, May 10th, 1970.
It was the worst time of my life, and I didn't handle it well.
I hope the portrait will take steps to atone for the mistakes that we made for our Vietnam vets.
I am so excited, I can't wait. I know the tears are probably going to flow.
So on behalf of all of us, here is our hero and your loved one, Army Specialist Leslie Sabo.
As an artist, this is the best way I know how to honor America's heroes, to celebrate their lives, and to bring them back home to their families. I'm Phil Taylor. I paint portraits of America's fallen soldiers.
I am crossing the bridge that is named after Leslie Sabo. Oh my gosh, is this beautiful? Holy smokes.
Portrait artist Phil Taylor is in Elwood City, Pennsylvania to meet Rose and George, the wife and brother of Army Specialist Leslie Sabo, the subject of his next portrait. Specialist Sabo is a Medal of Honor recipient who lost his life in the Vietnam War.
His story is extremely unique, what he was willing to do to protect his men and fight for his country.
I can't wait to be one small element of saying sorry for what we didn't do as a nation to recognize you guys from the Vietnam War. Is this the right one? Yep. Give a little knock on the door. How are you, sweetheart?
Hi.
I'll give you a hug, of course.
Of course. Such an honor to meet you.
Thank you, love. It's good to be in your home. I am seeing many things already just coming in here.
First thing I want to show you, these are his medals. This is his Purple Heart that was given to me when he got killed. All the medals from Vietnam and Cambodia.
Leslie Sabo was drafted into the United States Army in 1969. He was assigned to the 506th Infantry Regiment of the 101st Airborne Division, known as the Screamin' Eagles. He was deployed to Vietnam in November 1969.
And this is the Medal of Honor.
I mean, this is beautiful. Tell me the day when you got the news.
President Obama called me on the phone. I was floored. I said, I cannot believe I am talking to you. This is such an honor. And he says, oh no, the honor is mine.
We gather today to present the Medal of Honor for valor above and beyond the call of duty.
And he says, I'm going to posthumously give you the Medal of Honor for your husband, for his courageous deeds.
Despite his wounds, Leslie grabbed a grenade and he pulled the pin. He held that grenade until the last possible moment, knowing it would take his own life, but knowing he could silence that bunker. He saved his comrades, who meant more to him than life.
I recognize somebody right there.
Yes.
Handsome guy.
Okay, this is when we were dating.
Look at you, man. Huh?
Yeah, I was skinny. Those were the days.
You're beautiful.
I knew the minute I met him, I was going to marry him. It was love at first sight for us. It really was. He was very kind, very loving. He would give you the shirt off his back or his last dime in his pocket. And then in January of '69, he got the letter that he was drafted into the Army.
more than 1.7 million young men between the ages of 18 and 26 were involuntarily selected to serve in the U.S. military between 1965 and 1973.
What did he say during that time?
I told him, I says, I don't want you to go. And he says, I have to do what I have to do. He says, and I'm proud to be an American. And I says, well, I can't argue with that.
I love this man.
And he left November. And I never saw him again.
I do want to ask you, what would you like to see?
His eyes, his lips. When I sit on my chair, I want him to look at me.
And I guarantee you, that will happen. The portrait will create a contact point for you.
Oh my gosh.
So I'm gonna go back and make sure that we take all the beautiful things that you've shared, and I'm gonna make sure he's all there.
I so appreciate it.
You got it, sweetie.
After chatting with Rose, Phil meets Leslie's brother, George, outside their old high school.
How are you, sir?
I'm fine, Phil, thank you.
Good to see you.
Nice seeing you.
This is your high school as well.
Yes.
As your brother.
Yes, we both graduated.
From here?
Yeah, 5 years apart. Leslie was a fun-loving kid. He was the good guy that never asked for anything. Very much a giver and not a taker.
Your family, I believe, immigrated.
We left Hungary in '44 because the Russians were coming and the communists were going to take over. And then we came here in '49 with nothing. This was our country now. And we heard that over and over again from my father. It was ironic that my parents fled communism and World War II, and my brother died fighting communists 20-some years later. It's amazing to me how this town has embraced the fact that Leslie is a hero. The bridge was named after him. The high school auditorium is named after him.
Remarkable. That's got to make you feel just like super proud.
It does, it does. Everybody knows who Leslie Sabo is.
Yes.
And why he's a Medal of Honor winner.
Next, Phil meets two of Leslie Sabo's comrades.
The fact that he kept fighting was the only reason that we survived.
After a successful trip to Pennsylvania, artist Phil Taylor is back in his studio in Texas to get started on his portrait of fallen Vietnam War hero, Army Specialist Leslie Sabo.
So, had a great trip to PA, hometown. Got to meet your beautiful, lovely wife, your incredible brother. My concern was, after 40-something years, what type of impact can a painting have when so much time has gone by, but it's as if it was yesterday. It's still as raw as it was the day that he died. Hopefully, this will not only honor what you did in your military service, but will bring some healing to your family.
Hey, honey.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm doing all right. Yourself?
So I got off the phone with the principal at the high school, and we got approved to be able to come in and do the presentation. So we're approved.
No, that's awesome.
The school is very involved with the veterans in the area. So every Veterans Day, they hold a special event. So we're going there to honor Leslie on that day. See you later.
Bye.
While Phil was in Elwood City, he sat down with two of Leslie's Vietnam War comrades at a local coffee shop, Leslie's company commander and a platoon leader.
The cool part about talking to you guys is I can get a feel for what it was like being a soldier in 1970.
What most people don't realize, Phil, is these kids were 18, 19, and 20 years old. Leslie just wanted to be one of the boys.
What was he like as a person?
He was liked by everybody. He was very conversant.
I see a grin coming right there. You have something.
Well, they called him Party Pooper.
Why is that?
He drank 2 beers, and then he wanted to start singing. He would sing this song, Love Grows Where My Rosemary Goes. Boy, he couldn't sing a lick. He was quite a character. But when you went out in the field, he had a red bandana that he put on. When he put on that red bandana, it was like his persona changed. Nerd to super soldier.
But tell me, take me to some of the details.
You got off the helicopter and you were thrown into combat.
There was no safe area where we were in Vietnam. The men in Bravo Company were out in the field 2 months at a time. The conditions were very stressful.
At night, you would sleep on the ground.
We had no tents, we had no sleeping bags. Life in the jungle for a rifle company was miserable.
We can't really fathom what you guys have gone through, what you experienced, which takes me to Cambodia.
After 4 months of fighting the North Vietnamese troops in Vietnam, Bravo Company was sent on a mission to Cambodia to seek and destroy enemy food, weapon, and ammunition supplies. The soldiers were dropped into Cambodia by helicopter on May 5th, 1970.
We knew we were in the middle of where the North Vietnamese army were. They were like setting a trap.
On May 10th, Bravo Company was ambushed.
All hell broke loose.
They meant to overrun us.
Yes, sir. Understood.
The situation was very dire, but Leslie definitely was in full battle mode.
It's one thing to be in a firefight. It's another to be in a firefight and shoot back. And then it's another to be in a firefight and shoot back and maneuver. And this is what he was doing.
He dragged wounded soldiers back. He took ammunition to people that were running low on ammunition. He killed 2 different groups of NVA soldiers. He stood up when he should have been down.
Leslie repeatedly charged enemy positions, exposing himself and risking his own life to draw fire away from his comrades.
Of course, they were shooting at him, but it seemed, like he was almost like bulletproof. He kept picking up, grenades and throwing them back. He had one thing on his mind, that he was going to save his friends. The fact that he kept fighting was the only reason that we survived.
In a final act of bravery, Leslie crawled towards an enemy bunker to detonate one last grenade that he knew would save his comrades, but take his own life.
And then they started tearing him up with rifle fire. That's the last I remember.
Leslie was killed on Mother's Day, May 10th, 1970. He was killed by enemy fire, is all they told me.
The story we got at that time was that Leslie was killed by a sniper. It was the worst time of my life, and I didn't handle it well.
He was my first love and my true love, and you never ever get over your true love.
Next, Phil is under pressure to deliver on his promise to the Sabo family.
My job is to restore, bring a brother, bring a husband back home.
On May 10th, 1970, Army Specialist Leslie Sabo was killed in action in Cambodia. Leslie's platoon mate recommended him for the Medal of Honor, but the paperwork was lost in the chaos of war. Almost 30 years later, in 1999, the citation was finally discovered in the National Archives.
I was grateful that the files were found because it's generations now that are here to be the first-hand witnesses to his heroism.
On May 16, 2012, President Barack Obama invited Leslie's family, friends, and members of Bravo Company to a ceremony at the White House.
After 43 years, we all just couldn't believe it. It was quite emotional because that boy deserved that. And we felt that him being recognized, it also recognized us too.
And here today, as I think Les would have wanted it, I'd ask the members of Bravo Company to stand and accept the gratitude of our nation.
When the president recognized Bravo Company, it made us whole again. We were recognized by our country. We were welcomed home officially. Leslie was indeed a hero, and there were many other heroes that day. Some who survived and many who didn't survive.
Back in Texas, artist Phil Taylor is applying everything he learned from Leslie Sabo's family and friends to his portrait of the fallen soldier.
In here, I need to get the intensity of who you were as a warrior, a gentle husband, friend, and brother. I hope the portrait will take steps to atone for the mistakes that we made for our Vietnam vets and bring healing to guys that didn't get it when they came back. Let's get this last little highlight in those beautiful brown eyes. It's been my true honor to be with you. I can't wait to take you home, Leslie. Rest well.
With the portrait carefully packaged, Phil and his wife Lisa travel from Texas to Elwood City, Pennsylvania. The portrait presentation is being held at Leslie's former high school on Veterans Day.
I'm looking forward to the presentation at the high school. To be there on Veterans Day is a kicker. That just makes it all that more special.
Next, Phil unveils his portrait of Leslie to the Sabo family.
My job is to bring honor and integrity and respect for these families.
It's good to be in Elwood City, Pennsylvania, at Leslie's High School.
It's Veterans Day, and Phil and Lisa Taylor have arrived to present Leslie Sabo's portrait to his family.
Today is a great day to be able to honor Leslie and also remind the community that there are Americans that do remember the sacrifice of our veterans.
Leslie's family, comrades from Bravo Company, local veterans, and high school students are in attendance.
Bill, he does terrific work, so we're expecting just a wonderful portrait to be presented to us. I think it'll be emotional.
I am so excited. I can't wait. I know the tears are probably going to flow.
Major General Jackson, a representative of the Vietnam War commemoration, has traveled from Washington, D.C. to honor Leslie and his family.
As we enter the 50th anniversary of Vietnam, we're making a special effort to reach Vietnam veterans and their families and thank them for what they endured. Phil Taylor and his wife Lisa, I thank you again for everything you're doing today to honor Leslie Sabo Jr.
Would you guys please stand up for the entrance of the portrait of Army Specialist Leslie Sabo.
Detail, all the time, all.
I'm scared.
So on behalf of all of us here, Lincoln High, student body, grateful nation, here is our hero, your loved one, Army Specialist Leslie Sabo.
Attention!
Let your baby. Beautiful. To see the portrait was like he was standing there looking right at me. It took my breath away.
How we do, baby?
You did beautiful.
When I looked into his eyes, they were almost real. Phil has done a wonderful job. It was more than a painting. It was how I remembered him right before he left.
When I saw the portrait, it was like he came back to life.
It was like Leslie was here again, the eyes. Those eyes were very much alive.
We were the last ones that saw Leslie alive. He was a good soldier, and he paid the ultimate sacrifice to protect his friends.
After the presentation, Rose returns home with her mother to hang the portrait of her husband, Leslie.
That's my Leslie. And now I can look into those eyes every day. I feel like I could just walk up there and hug him. Phil did a tremendous job. He really brought out the true features of Leslie.
Brush of Honor is dedicated to the brave men and women who serve in our nation's military and to the families of the fallen. Thank you for your service.
My platoon was inside of the Humvees with Alex. The soldiers were basically ambushed. The bad guys, they took Alex. He was missing.
It was devastating. It was all over the news. They didn't know what to do or what to expect.
I'm sitting on the airplane and I'm crying because I left my best friend there.
My mother calls me. I thought they found him and he was alive, but that was not the case.
When I lost my son, that time is so terrible.
I want to try to make his portrait bold, strong, and present because of the pain that the family went through.
We never forget him.
And we won't, I promise you that.
I'm excited and nervous to see the portrait.
So here he is on behalf of all of us, Army Staff Sergeant Alex Jimenez.
As an artist, this is the best way I know how to honor America's heroes, to celebrate their lives, and to bring them back home to their families. I'm Phil Taylor. I paint portraits of America's fallen soldiers.
It's good to be back in New York, here in old Queens. I love this part of New York.
Portrait artist Phil Taylor is in Corona, New York to meet the family of fallen soldier Army Staff Sergeant Alex Jimenez.
Alex died in Iraq in 2008. He was taken prisoner by insurgents and unfortunately was gone for 14 months, MIA.
My goal is to learn about Alex, figure out where's the family in their healing process, and ultimately bring him back home.
Phil first meets with Alex's brother Andy at a local restaurant.
How are you, sir?
Well, thank you.
Wow, man. I recognize your brother looking at your face. Good to see you.
It's a pleasure to meet you.
Good to see you, sir.
When you're looking at similar DNA, that is a very palpable, powerful experience to go through as an artist. You got the same hairline and the look and everything, man.
Thank you.
Fantastic.
Alex and I come from a very big Dominican-American family. We were born in New York. Me and him were really close.
I heard
we
that.
We basically grew up together, you know. Sorry.
Don't ever apologize.
I have this picture I wanted to show you. Since little, he just loved the military.
Where'd it come from?
And love for the country, for sure. Alex always wanted to fight for his country, and that was his passion. When 9/11 happened, Alex was watching the news. He was very frustrated. Some of my family members used to work at the World Trade Center.
That's absolutely remarkable, man.
I think that really pushed him to join the Army and fight for everybody that lost their lives.
Shortly after graduating from high school, Alex Jimenez enlisted in the U.S. Army on June 22, 2002. He was assigned to the 10th Mountain Division in Fort Drum, New York. His first deployment to Iraq was in 2004.
Yeah! He loved to learn about other cultures. He learned how to speak Arabic.
That's amazing.
He wanted to communicate with Iraqi soldiers and the locals and understand that basically he's there to help them.
12 weeks before Alex was due to return home from Iraq, insurgents ambushed his platoon. Alex and 2 other U.S. soldiers were kidnapped.
When did you guys realize as a family that he was gone or taken?
The day that we knew that he was missing was actually on my father's birthday.
Wow.
It was devastating. Everybody was just going nuts. It was all over the news. We didn't know what to do or what to expect.
Tell me what went through your head.
I wanted to do something, but I couldn't do nothing, you know? I wanted to be there. He was like a mentor to me. He always told me, you know, follow your heart. He followed his dream. He wanted to be a hero.
When you think about the portrait, what do you want to see?
Well, little ears.
He did have little ears, didn't he? I know, I love that.
Big nose.
Yeah.
We used to make fun of him for that.
Yeah. We're gonna get him where when you look at him, you'll smile.
We appreciate it very much from the bottom of our heart.
After learning about Alex from his brother Andy, Phil meets their parents Maria and Andy Sr. in their family home.
Good to see you, ma'am.
Yes, I'm Maria. Nice to meet you.
Hello.
Good
How
to
are
see you, sir.
My name is Andy Jimenez.
Andy, good to see you. It's beautiful to be here. Your son has given so much protection, freedom, pride, honor to all of us as Americans.
We are very proud for Alex because he went to the army. He wrote this letter. My name is Alex Jimenez. The reason of this letter is my interest in being a soldier of the United States of America. I promise to fight for the innocent who can fight for themselves.
Wow, man.
Yes.
You have to be so proud. When did he write that? Yes, sir. Yes, sir, I understand.
He was 18 years old.
18.
We are proud
And you should be proud.
because we defend our freedom too. When he finished high school, he said, I'm ready now to go to the army, Ma. Oh my God.
When did you come to America?
In 1980, my father said, God bless you, America. This country has a lot of opportunity.
There is such a gentle spirit within that family. Also loyalty and appreciation that they have for this country.
Tell me about the familia. It's
Big family.
It's big.
Yes.
Lots of fun people, happy people.
Yes. Alex loved the family to be together, happy and laughing. But now, everybody cry. And it's very hard. We never forget him.
Why would you? And you should never, ever forget him.
Yes.
And we won't too. I promise you that.
Yo pienso que cuando usted esté pintando a Alex, va a sentir algo diferente. Porque en la conversación que hemos tenido, siento como si Alex estuviese aquí.
Yes, sir. There's actually something very beautiful about the fact that we can't fully understand each other. I can actually feel your hearts. Because every day of my entire life is towards serving families like yours. Sal. Meeting Alex's parents was like magic. I know I have a big job ahead of me when I get back to Texas. I can't wait to see the response that they have when he comes home through the portrait.
Next, Phil learns more about Alex from his best friend and fellow soldier, Sean Gopal.
We're flying out of Iraq, and I'm sitting on the airplane, and I'm crying because I left my best friend there.
Back at his studio in Texas, artist Phil Taylor gets started on his portrait of Army Staff Sergeant Alex Jimenez.
Today it's about Mr. Jimenez, a gentle, sweet young man from New York City. Spent a little personal time with him.
What makes Alex's story so unique for me is he was gone for so long. And not knowing where your boy is for 14 months is something that no parent should ever have to go through.
I learned a lot about you, man. Who you were as a young man, from your brother, what you were like as a son. You're a true patriot.
Being such revered and loved son and such a beautiful, emotional family, it magnifies what role I'll play. Because the commitment is to meet their highest level of expectation.
Hello.
What's up there?
How are you? I didn't see you come in.
I snuck in like I do, man.
We finally have the venue set.
Where is it?
We're gonna be at the 9/11 Memorial Museum.
That's awesome, man.
Very amazing.
It's just a perfect place for him. That was the source of his inspiration. I mean, he wanted to be in the Army since he was, a young man.
We'll be ready.
All right.
So good luck.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
After Phil met Alex's family in Queens, New York, he went to Long Island to see Sean Gopal, Alex's best friend and comrade.
How are you, sir?
Good, sir.
Good to see you. Phil Taylor. Thank you very much. Wonderful.
Sean Gopal, he suffered the loss of his best friend. This is going to be special. I'm going to try to bring him as much healing as I can.
How'd you meet Alex?
I was a private and he was a specialist. And he started talking to me in Spanish. I was like, I don't speak Spanish, but I know what you're saying, specialist, and that was it. Alex and I had a lot in common. Our love for music. He loved to write, he loved to dance, he liked to sing. Well, I didn't sing too well. I got close with everybody in my platoon. We were only 14 guys. You live, you train with these guys, you learn everything about them. Alex had a big heart and he really cared about his soldiers.
It's very emotional. It's a deep bond.
On May 12, 2007, Alex Jimenez, along with 6 other U.S. and 1 Iraqi soldier, were on patrol in Iraq when insurgents attacked.
These people were watching us for probably 2-3 weeks to a month. They knew everything about us. My platoon was inside of the Humvees. The soldiers were basically ambushed.
As a result of this attack, 5 soldiers were killed in action and 3 are currently missing. Make no mistake, we will never stop looking for our soldiers.
The Army sent out a crazy amount of people just looking for them. The first missing person they found was Anzac. He had passed away. My first feeling was, okay, at least we got one of our guys back. Maybe there's clues to find the others. There was no way to track them.
And the family had to go through 14 months. That had to be just brutal for you.
I still had to stay there too for another 6 months after that. So my
Oh,
total
you
tour
did.
there was like 18 months almost. Towards the end, of our deployment, we're flying out of Iraq, and I'm sitting on the airplane, and I'm crying because I left my best friend there.
Yes, sir.
Not knowing what it was and what was happening.
Understood.
Because the soldier's creed said you never leave a fallen comrade.
For months, Alex's family waited for news of his whereabouts.
I went to White House and we spoke to the President George Bush, and I told to him, I'm very worried about my son. It's more than a year that we don't know nothing about him. And he told me face and hope. and believe in God. After that, in 2 months, we had answers.
On July 8, 2008, the remains of Staff Sergeant Alex Jimenez and Private Byron Foudy were discovered in a shallow grave in Iraq.
My mother calls me and she says, the Army's here and they want to speak to you. And I thought they found him and he was alive, but that was not the case.
When I lost my son, that time is so terrible. He was a wonderful son.
I was happy that they found him, but I didn't want to find him that way. It was tough.
Next.
I want to try to make his portrait bigger than life, bold, strong, present, because of the pain that the family went through.
After 60 hours of painting in his studio, artist Phil Taylor is almost finished with his portrait of Army Staff Sergeant Alex Jimenez.
This has been a beautiful journey, my friend. It's been an honor to get to know you through your family, your brother, Sean, and now spend personal time with you here.
Alex knew his destiny years before. To know where you're going and then to walk out that destiny in such a heroic way is a beautiful life well lived.
Can't wait to get to ground zero, bring you home, and bring healing to your family. Rest well tonight, my friend. See you soon.
Artist Phil Taylor returns to New York City, this time to the World Trade Center with his wife Lisa and their colleague Amy to deliver the portrait of Alex Jimenez to his family.
So let's cross right here. It's our honor and privilege to be at the 9/11 Memorial Museum in New York City at Ground Zero. It's a sacred place, and I've never been to the museum since it opened. It's a true honor to be able to be there.
I can remember the day I watched the towers being hit. I never knew I'd be called to paint the guys and girls who would die in service because of that event. My life is now devoted. It's personal to me. So when I walk on that ground carrying this heroic soldier, it's a moment where you recommit yourself to serve the families of the fallen. In this case, the beautiful family of the Jimenez family.
More than 30 members of Alex's family arrived together to participate in the portrait presentation.
I'm excited and nervous to see the portrait. I can't wait to give it to my mother to bring her comfort.
Yo pienso que la foto me va a traer a mí una emoción fuerte de sentirlo que está con nosotros, que me lo van a devolver hacia atrás.
Next.
The paintings impact families at different levels. I anticipate that in this case, for the Jimenez family, it will be overwhelming.
Phil and Lisa Taylor are at the National September 11th Memorial and Museum to present the portrait of Staff Sergeant Alex Jimenez to his extended family.
Would you guys please rise for the entrance to the portrait of Staff Sergeant Alex Jimenez?
So I got to spend time with Mom and Dad, and Andy and Sean. I made a promise. I wouldn't let him down. I wouldn't let you guys down. So here he is on behalf of all of us. 9/11 Memorial Museum, our project, and grateful Americans. Army Staff Sergeant Alex Jimenez.
On the guard. And
That's your son. He's home. He's home.
Yeah.
When we received the portrait, it was like him coming home.
It's a handsome dude.
Thank you so much.
You got it, baby.
The closure that Phil is giving to me personally is amazing.
Yes, sir.
He's bringing back somebody that meant a lot to me in my life. And I could see him again. Even if it's just for a little bit. And to me, that means the world.
I feel my son like he's alive. I look his eye and looks exactly like he was.
Outside of the auditorium, Lisa gives individual reproductions of Alex's portrait to his friends and family.
Andy, this should be yours.
It's awesome.
So good.
It's amazing. I can see his eyes. His nose for sure. And what better place to honor him than the memorial of 9/11.
God bless you to you. Everybody work together in that project.
Your reaction that we were successful, that fills our hearts.
This could be possibly the biggest group I've ever had around a portrait. I know it is.
This was probably one of the most powerful presentations I think we've ever done. Now to see the family, see him whole, restored, happy, and home, this is a day and a moment I'll never forget.
After the presentation, the Jimenez family return all together to Corona, Queens, to hang Alex's portrait in the family home.
This is where it's gonna go, right? You're gonna put it right here?
Yeah.
That's perfect.
Bueno, que Dios bendiga a todas las personas de este proyecto. Sentimos que lo que ustedes hacen nos va a traer más paz, más tranquilidad.
Ali, aquí estás tú con toda tu familia. Ali, te quiero.
We were all together, one by one, just saying beautiful things about him, showing our love towards him. We always did that. Really brought it back to when he used to come back home.
His legacy lives on in this picture. And that's what I want to remember for the rest of my life. And I know that that's what's going to happen for all of us.
Yeah.
He's home. He's finally home.
Rush of Honor is dedicated to the brave men and women who serve in our nation's military and to the families of the fallen. Thank you for your service.
On 3 April 2013, James was leading a two-ship of close air support F-16s. Radio contact was lost. James's aircraft crashed.
The doorbell rang. When you see that casualty notification team, you know right away.
The officers were telling me that he was killed.
It was unbelievable. And then we had to call everyone. So that was tough.
The integrity and commitment that he showed as a fighter pilot and a friend, those are the pieces that I want to put together on canvas.
He had a smile that would beam from coast to coast. I'm expecting to really see James basically coming to life.
I'm just so excited.
Here he is, Air Force Captain James Steele.
As an artist, this is the best way I know how to honor America's heroes, to celebrate their lives, and to bring them back home to their families. I'm Phil Taylor. I paint portraits of America's fallen soldiers.
Oh my, this is an absolutely gorgeous neighborhood.
Portrait artist Phil Taylor is in Herndon, Virginia, to meet Major General Robert Steele and his wife Dee. the parents of fallen airman Captain James Steele.
I don't think there's any greater blessing than being able to connect with a family with such military history. The sad part is that this is only a year and a half since James died, so I expect it to be emotional for him. And I'm guessing this is their house right there, which is absolutely gorgeous. Okay, so this will be good. Okay. Oh, okay. How are you, sir?
Bill. Welcome to our home.
General, good to see
Come
you,
on
sir.
in.
Thank you. Good to be here.
My wife, Dee.
How are you, sweetheart?
Let me take your coat.
I would like that, absolutely.
And if you could, follow me. We'll go downstairs. I have something I'd like to show you.
I would love that.
This basement we've been working on. And I'd like to show you this special corner over here.
Ah. Beautiful wall. How do I see you and him together right there on that one? The F-16 behind you.
We had a very special opportunity to join James at his graduation from F-16 training. That particular day, I got to fly with James. It was a very special day.
It doesn't happen very often.
No, it's remarkable.
James Steele graduated from the United States Air Force Academy in 2006. He went on to follow in his father's footsteps, becoming a fighter pilot flying F-16s, a single-pilot, single-engine aircraft.
I served in the United States Air Force for 33 years. So we were thrilled that he wanted to fly. There goes James. And one of the themes you can see in here is just how happy James is with the job that he had and the people that were working with him and around him.
James was very excited to be flying and saving lives and serving his country.
I mean, I want to smile when I look at his face, so thank you for sharing a piece of him.
I was looking forward to showing this to you, Bill.
Oh my gosh, that thing is awesome, man. Why in the world would someone put a pub in the bottom of their home?
Well, last Christmas, we had everyone coming home, and we were thinking, this is going to be a bummer of a holiday, and how we were just going to be missing James. We just need to do something special. We have all this memorabilia from James, from his squadron. Where do we put it? We thought, let's surprise everyone. Let's redo the basement.
And when our children joined us for Christmas, they were expecting to see an empty basement. Instead, in full lights, was an antique English pub.
It's beautiful down here.
It's a great way to showcase the beauty of his life.
So you guys met at the Air Force Academy. You ended up having the most incredible family.
Dee and I got married in 1980, and on our first assignment in Germany, we had our first child, Bobby.
Bobby, you're curly.
In 1984, we had our first set of twins, James and Jonathan.
James, Jonathan, yeah!
2 years later, on Bobby's birthday, we had another single, which was Christopher. 2 years later, Paul and Michelle.
So 6 children under 6 at one point in time.
Here's the kids that won't go to bed. Dad, I love you!
It's got to be such a blessing. Your family history is amazing. I mean,
thank you.
Do you mind giving me kind of a brief summary?
My father and Dee's father both served in the military. So James's 2 grandfathers, his 3 uncles, myself and my wife served in the United States Air Force. And his 3 siblings, Paul, Christopher, and Jonathan, also served in the United States Air Force. It's Christopher, aircraft 334.
Your parents' service and both your service and your son's service and unfortunately your son's sacrifice. It's really remarkable. When he was growing up, tell me what he was like.
James was a take charge leader kind of guy.
A straight A student, he was valedictorian of his class.
As for the future, your task is not to foresee it, but to enable it. Thank you, class of 2002, and be proud, we graduated.
He was a guy who loved to have fun. And challenged himself to be the best at whatever he did.
Go, James!
Is there something that you would want to see in his portrait?
The smile in the eyes.
He had a smile that would beam from coast to coast. It would instantly brighten your life when you saw that smile on his face.
I promise you, he will be restored, happy, whole, and there for you to look at.
It just means, it means the world.
Thank you, sweetie. Oh, you got it.
Next, Phil heads to Andrews Air Force Base to meet James's squadron commander, John Vargas.
So tell me about his call name.
So Mano comes from Superman, right? So you have Man of Steel. Well, James was that.
At his studio in Texas, artist Phil Taylor is getting started on his portrait of fallen airman Captain James Steele.
This image here of you has got all the characteristics that, most importantly, your mom, I think, is looking for.
Looking at that wall in the basement, images of him as a young man, as a fighter pilot, as a son, and as a brother. I was inspired.
You're an amazing dude.
Hey, you, come on in. So what's the gig as far as the presentation? What's going on
Well,
from
I
your
actually
side?
just talked with Dee, so
Okay,
we're gonna go to their house.
that's wonderful.
The date of the presentation that she asked for is the 1-year anniversary to the date of the opening of the pub.
Remarkable.
If a family calls and asks us for a special something, we're gonna move mountains to try to make whatever we can happen. So she called me and asked me if we would come and do this special private presentation.
I'm amazed at your family, the generational service, and your 3 brothers now out there doing it just like you did. Your family's got the right name, Steele.
James was sweethearted, kind, loving, knew how to laugh. He was a jokester.
I can get somebody or everybody in your family to smile, then you and I have accomplished our goal. My target is going to be to make your family feel like you're staring right back at them.
As part of his research for the portrait, Phil met Lieutenant Colonel John Vargas at Andrews Air Force Base in Maryland. He was James's squadron commander in Afghanistan.
Lieutenant Colonel John Vargas, I'm honored to have a chance to meet you.
Phil Taylor. Have a seat, sir, please.
James was assigned to the 77th Fighter Squadron, known as the Gamblers, in June 2010.
Each squadron has its insignia, ours being the deck of cards there.
It's awesome. I want to learn about who he was as a person.
He was just a pleasure to be around.
James excelled in all aspects of his life, militarily, academically, and physically. On the ground, James Steele was lighthearted, kind, friendly, always a smile on his face. In the air, he flew with great passion and precision and always got the mission done.
He was an incredible member of the squadron.
That's so awesome. I love the smile on your face as you're sharing that. Tell me about his call name.
So Mano comes from Superman, right? So you have Man of Steel. Well, James was that. He was an incredible physical specimen.
That's what I heard.
He knocked it out of the park every single time that he went and did the physical exam. He led us with all of our training, pushing us to be our best.
In the fall of 2012, Captain James Man of Steel was deployed for 6 months with the 77th Fighter Squadron to Afghanistan.
We would fly 3 or 4 combat sorties per week, providing overwatch of positions, performing intelligence surveillance to support our brothers and sisters on the ground. In total, James had flown approximately 80 missions in Afghanistan, striking down the enemy, saving American lives. On 3 April 2013, James was leading a two-ship of close air support F-16s in support of ground troops that were in a valley. And that evening, James and his wingmen were returning to base. They were descending through adverse weather at night in mountainous terrain. James's aircraft fell off of the radar sensors. Radio contact was lost. One of my pilots came and awoke me and told me, "Boss, we need you at ops now," to which I obviously had a chill go down my spine. One of our aircraft is missing. I went out to the other aircraft. I met that pilot when he climbed down from the ladder, and he told me, "Boss, we lost Mano. James's aircraft crashed."
It was 11 o'clock at night. Bob was already asleep. The doorbell rang, and I opened the door, and when you see that casualty notification team, you know right away. In those moments, I didn't know which son had died. So in those moments, I lost each one. And each one, I said, I can't live without them.
I came downstairs because Dee could not handle the notification. The officers were telling me that he was killed.
It was unbelievable. And then we had to call everyone. So that was tough. James was the first one in all of our family that was military that had fallen. I felt like it could never happen to us.
A lot of us have been in harm's way and have safely made it home. And so this was just a significant blow.
Coming up next, Phil prepares to deliver his portrait of James to the family.
I'm going to embrace James, his story, and try to bring healing to his family.
Artist Phil Taylor has almost completed his portrait of Air Force Captain James Steele, who died in Afghanistan on April 3rd, 2013.
All right, Captain, we are coming down to the home stretch. The integrity and commitment and discipline that he showed as a fighter pilot and a friend, those are the pieces that will bring the essence of James back to life on campus. I hope I've done you and your family a great service. Truly been a pleasure. Have a good night, sir.
Phil returns to Herndon, Virginia with his wife Lisa a few days before Christmas to present the portrait to the Steele family.
Dee wanted it to be done when everyone was home during Christmas. The invitation for us to be there and be included in that special time, it makes it much more personal.
That looks like a good spot right there, baby.
We're at the right place.
Yes, ma'am. Good to see you,
Lisa,
sweetheart.
very nice to see you. Welcome to our home.
When we walked in, Dee and the general both are very welcoming, very sweet.
Lisa, Phil, I'd like to introduce our oldest, Bobby.
Bobby.
Hi, Bobby. Nice to meet you.
Taylor.
I tell you what, I truly was very deeply nervous at that moment because I love and respect families who've given so much to protect and provide freedom.
Paul and his wife, Samantha.
Good to see you, sweetheart.
James's twin, Jonathan.
Jonathan? It's very daunting when you're in front of all those people and you're about to deliver their brother, their son, in such a private, personal way.
And Christopher.
Chris.
Goes by Chris.
Chris,
Hi,
good
Chris.
to see you, sir.
Nice to meet you.
Well, I can tell you this. Our job is today to represent your brother, your son, in the most dignified way and bring a piece of him and his presence back to life. So I hope today will fulfill that commitment, that role that we play.
We're just going to get squared away to make sure everything's in place. I want to make sure that James is represented with the highest level of respect. All right, see you in a bit.
Having the portrait presentation with a year to the day as the grand opening celebration of the pub, this was meant to be.
Forward, march.
So it's not all about sadness. It's getting people together and bringing James home in the form of this portrait.
Perfect, that's perfect.
I'm expecting to really see James basically coming to life.
I'm just so excited.
The Steeles have invited family, friends, and James's fellow airmen to join them for the presentation.
His spirit will be with us, rejoicing with us.
So follow us down to our great pub area.
It's very fitting that it's here in the home of the Steele family, in the bar that was dedicated 1 year ago today. I'm hoping that Phil is able to capture the spirit that Mano had.
Up next, Phil presents the portrait of Captain James Steele to his family.
When I pulled him from the box and said, here he is, it got really kind of anxious there. I mean, we're talking 2013, so this is soon after. So the emotions are very, very raw.
3 days before Christmas, Phil and Lisa Taylor join the family and friends of fallen airman Captain James Steele at the Steele family home. All of the Steele siblings are present to watch the unveiling of the portrait, except James's sister Michelle, who is watching online.
I'd like to take this moment to introduce you to a great American, a great artist, who's very special to the United States military, and that artist is Phil Taylor. Phil Taylor, if you come forward. Thanks, man.
Thank you. It's good to be in your home. Thank you. Thanks, sweetheart. It's my honor to bring in the portrait of Air Force Captain James Steele. March. I hope this moment will bring some healing during this holiday season while the family is together. Here he is, Air Force Captain James Steele.
It's perfect. It's James.
James's smile and his eyes were very important to us. Phil just nailed it in that portrait. I think we owe Phil and his entire crew a round.
Phil absolutely knocked it out of the ballpark. Having that portrait in this house, it's going to allow friends and family to come here and celebrate James's life and to know that he's here with them.
I thought the presentation was magical.
To see their reactions, I was happy. I was very happy. It's very special to be able to finally give him to the family and bring him home.
Yeah, he's gonna help.
The hanging of the portrait was perfect. To see Dad gather all the boys around, everyone has their hand on the frame, setting him up. It had beauty to it. It was gratifying. And I think most of all, it was effective for the family.
It's very special to be able to see their reactions and kind of encourage us to keep going and do it again.
That's the motivation.
It's Uncle James.
I'm absolutely sure that the work that was done and the response that they now have in the years to follow are everything that we work for.
Are we good?
We are good. We're good. All right, thanks.
Rush of Honor is dedicated to the brave men and women who serve in our nation's military and to the families of the fallen. Thank you for your service.